going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Files Reality Recap Edition. I'm your host, Nick, and, Justin released a video. We've officially reached the stage of people have cemented themselves in the position that they have. It really feels like. If you're on Justin's team, it feels like every time he releases something, it seems like his side's like, oh, smoking gun. And then you have Blake. What was the statement that Blake's team made?
Her legal team slammed the "it ends with us" footage and said, the video shows Mr. Baldoni repeatedly leaning in toward Miss Lively, attempting to kiss her, kissing her forehead, rubbing his face and mouth against her neck, flicking her lip with his thumb, caressing her, telling her how good she smells, and talking with her out of character. Every moment of this was improvised by Mr. Baldoni with no discussion or consent in advance and no intimacy coordinator present. Mr. Baldoni was not only Miss Lively's co-star, but the director, the head of studio, and Miss Lively's boss. The video shows Miss Lively leaning away and repeatedly asking for the characters to just talk. Any woman who has been inappropriately touched in the workplace will recognize Miss Lively's discomfort. They will recognize her attempts at levity to try to deflect unwanted touching. No woman should have to take defensive measures to avoid being touched by their employer without their consent.
I don't even think you need to be inappropriately touched in the workplace. I think any woman who's been in a bar and a man has tried to dance with them or
made advances,
did anything that made you uncomfortable. And I think a lot of women struggle with embarrassing a man or standing up for themselves and being like, I don't want to be touched. So they try to be as polite as possible and be like, that's why a lot of women say, I have a boyfriend, when most of the time they don't have a boyfriend because they don't want to give their number away. I think people are going to read this how they want to. I read this as definitely how Blake said it. I see an uncomfortable woman who just is constantly trying to be like, I think we should talk. Let's just talk. If this part was supposed to be kissing and touching and neck smelling and whatever, then they would have had an intimacy coordinator because that's all intimacy. So I think Blake being like, let's just talk, let's have conversation. And I don't know. I see it how Blake says it. I'm sure people are going to see it how Justin describes it.
I get why his team released a video, though. And it seems to be, a continuation of their playbook, because by releasing the video, it allows people to do what they're doing, which is to decide for themselves whether what they're seeing would make them uncomfortable, right? And so now they're watching it, and a lot of people are watching it maybe through the lens of, putting themselves, imagining that they would be actors with Justin Baldoni. It's just well, I don't know, if I was doing a scene, I don't know, what is he so bad? It's as if people expected to see a video, short of them seeing a video of Justin groping Blake or throwing his tongue down her throat and having her push him off, and things like that. It's going to allow people to claim that she's overreacting or that they don't know what they are seeing. And I don't know what it's like to be in y'all's position.
To reiterate what Natalie said, I'm it's also shocking that people don't understand that she's in a professional setting. So I'm at the end of the day, she's hired to do her job. You're not going to see her pushing him aggressively away. You're not going to see her cowering. She knows that the camera is rolling. They're having conversation and she's trying to direct it back into the way that she wants the scene to go. But again, it's another thing where it's his word versus hers. And it's you don't know what the inner monologue in her mind of if she was uncomfortable, what she was thinking, how she was feeling. And that wasn't being gauged. So again, it's if I were in her shoes, I would have been fine. But you don't know what it was like to be in her shoes in that position.
Also, it was interesting that, this man who is all about women threw Jenny Slate's nose under the bus.
Yeah, she's catching shrapnel.
I've said multiple times that I'm team Jenny Slate, and as soon as a stray got thrown at Jenny Slate, that just put the nail in the coffin for me.
Well, I'm sorry, it's just not giving ally in the sense of you're going to throw a coworker's appearance, a woman's appearance under the bus to validate your commentary that you extended about your nose.
But who's also not even in the room.
Who's not in the room, who you hired, who doesn't know that you've said this about her.
All of my friends I've talked to about this seem to have similar opinions than us. I would be interested to talk to someone who disagrees with us in their take. What I struggle with, and you all make obviously great points, but let's say we were a fly in the wall, right? And regardless of what Blake feels about Justin, that from our perspective, everything Justin did, from the scene to the phone call to her trainer, the alleged comments about his porn addictions, let's say none of that would have offended us or made us feel uncomfortable. Let's say we were just like, I don't know, I don't see what the big deal is. What I still struggle with is what seems to be like really concrete evidence of Justin's intentions to, in his team's words, destroy Blake and attack her credibility and hire this crisis PR team and hire this team. Again, that like clearly laid out their roadmap of how they plan to go about doing exactly what they're doing online. And that's the part I struggle with. It's like the retaliation part. Even if you disagree with her interpretation of everything, what seems to be clear is his spitefulness and his willingness to invest and spend a lot of money on retaliating against Blake. And to me, that's the part that she is fighting the most. Back to what I said on Tuesday. It seems like Wayfair fronted the money. Wayfair made the most money. It sure seems like to me that she had the most to lose and very little to gain. You know, when this all happened in August and the internet turned against Blake, we said what we said. Everyone told us we were wrong. And then we all moved on. You know, everyone kind of moved on. The movie came out, you know, it was done. And then obviously this all came up and reignited this whole thing. But, you know, it seemed like her desire, I would think, to fight this, like she had to just figure out like what was she going to gain from this? Because you would think bringing attention to this and causing the drama would, again, make the movie more popular, make Justin and Wayfair more money. What was she going to get out of it other than just to, you know, defend herself? And clearly, like, this has cost her a ton. For the people who are just like vehemently against her and writing for Justin, how do you answer those questions? That's what I struggle with.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of answers in the comments.
I'm sure the trolls will have no problem arguing with me, but they're just telling us how wrong we are. They just tell us that like, oh, we need to read the complaint. We've read all the complaints, including the Stephanie Jones one, which no one's talking about, which includes so many text messaging conversations that, like, from my point of view, seem fairly damning against Justin and his team. But I don't know. People clearly are cherry picking. People have clearly decided where they stand. I don't know. So
Baldoni's team is also planning to make a website now with relevant videos and correspondence to the lawsuit, which is interesting.
But again, like these relevant videos, like one text message that was talked about all over the internet was this text message from Blake to Justin, where she, like, you know, kind of bizarrely claims that she's like this Game of Thrones fan, and there's this, you know, implication that she's alleging Taylor Swift is one of her dragons and things like that. And yeah, like when you read it, it kind of like, it seems a little kooky, maybe a little weird, but everyone's just focusing on that and deciding that like what they think of Blake as the person. And again, like, I don't know, it seems like people are losing sight of that. I do know that, like, going forward, if you are a woman in the workplace and you feel uncomfortable from a man in power, what is going on right now, I don't see how any woman going forward would feel comfortable speaking up, because clearly there is a very clear playbook now to how to fight against that. I don't know. We feel how we feel. Again, my opinion is strongly based off my interactions with Justin. Yeah, I don't know. What else we got?
Ashley and Tyler from Love is Blind last season are officially split.
Oof.
The tides have
Yeah,
turned.
sad. It's sad because I feel like she
wanted to believe in that relationship.
Yeah, and also I feel like she really was trying to like prove to the haters that like they're good. I feel like the internet was against their relationship, and they were constantly trying to like poke holes in it and be like, well, he's a liar and he did this and he did that, obviously not being behind closed doors with them. And I feel like she really tried to like fight that and like put that on the back burner. And I mean, obviously we don't know what happened, but it is sad that they're broken up.
They are awfully quiet. I do know that neither of them want to comment on it going forward, other than the comment that Ashley made, which was pretty vague and generic.
I was going to say, she did do a statement to people if we want to read it.
It was like she made a difficult decision. What was it?
After much reflection, I want to share that Tyler and I have been separated for several weeks and have now made the difficult decision to end our marriage. While I had hoped for mutual understanding and transparency in our relationship, it has become clear that our paths are no longer aligned, making it impossible for me to continue in this marriage. This was not a decision I made lightly, but one I know is necessary for my own growth and peace. While this chapter is ending, I will always hold respect for the time and love we shared. I kindly ask for privacy during this deeply personal time as I focus on healing and building a new future. Thank you for your understanding and support.
Based on that, sounds like she caught him in a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like whatever she was trying to like protect, and he's not making it any easier. In my
She
opinion.
wrote hard for him. She came on this show and she, you know, she was fighting with the entire internet, and she was very adamant about believing him and trusting him.
Giving him the benefit of the doubt.
So it probably didn't even have to be a big lie. It just probably was just another little, who knows?
Who knows?
Or maybe it was a big lie. I don't know, but they are over.
Wishing them both the best.
Well, speaking of another relationship that the internet has strong feelings about, Justin Bieber claims someone unfollowed his wife
Now,
Haley
you say
on
someone
his Instagram.
like you don't believe him.
No, it's in quotes.
Do you think
That's why I was just putting emphasis on the quote. It was my dialect.
Do you think the same person who he's alleging unfollowed Haley was the same person that liked the posts from Beyonce's mom
Yeah.
and commented that from
Chicago
Josh
ABC
Allen's
News.
There is
All
one
the
freak
people
out there.
attacking.
We gotta
I
get
just
him.
want to point out that how many people on this team have access to my Instagram?
I do.
1, 2, Zach, you might, I don't know, 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, but
But like I put a lot of trust in you guys.
I was gonna say,
Also,
Can we start getting messy?
also he does also
Just saying, like it's not that crazy to think that he has a team. I'm pretty
he
sure
also
someone on his team has access
a
to it.
baby, and I know that River will touch my phone, and I'm like, oh
That's
my
happened.
god, how are you DMing this person, or how are you liking this photo, or how are you on Google searching that,
Exactly.
What are the
So,
odds that River grabs your phone and unfollows Nick, though?
they could be slim. They also could not be. She's very.
Sometimes
She's
I will
smart.
say things happen, and you're like, "Fuck!" If
She turned
that
on.
got out, no one would believe that. Like
She turned on the what is it called on the TV in the
she
guest
likes
room?
buttons. She loves buttons. She's drawn. Like we
What
don't
does
give her any
she-
screen time, but
What
she
does she
will always
turn
go
on
for the TV.
I know she turned on the
She
TV.
turned
but-
on this. It's so annoying. She turned on. It's really fucking annoying because I can't figure out how to turn it off. It's like the voice command.
Oh
so
no.
every button you push,
Netflix.
it's like Netflix, and it's a computer like volume 24, volume 25, volume 26, volume 27, volume, and then you try to turn down volume 24, volume 23. And you're like, fuck.
Maybe she's an auditory learner.
Maybe, but I can't figure out how to turn this
I can
thing
help you.
off.
She might know.
I know.
I'm pretty good with tech. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
So I think Jack did it. That's my
Jack the Baby.
Jack the baby.
Jack the
Blue.
baby.
Jack Blue.
Are people just
I
getting
don't
hacked?
think Justin Bieber got in a fight with Haley and unfollowed her out of
No.
pettiness.
Well, Haley then posted in a carousel a picture of Justin sleeping to be like, my man's still here, taking a nap.
Yeah, I don't.
Wait, so he was taking a nap while the story was posted?
This is later. Haley then, after all of this, and everyone's like, they hate each other. They're getting a divorce.
God, I feel
was
so
like-
bad for him.
I know,
Every
I do
little
too.
thing.
Every
they do.
move.
I know.
They step
Under-
outside. He didn't dress up enough. They're getting a divorce. He
They're
doesn't
not
love
holding
her.
hands.
Yeah.
He's
He
walking
didn't open
ahead
the
of
door
her.
for her.
While he's
Yeah.
supporting her at her event. But yes, no, he hates her.
It's like you can't. They
it's so
and they,
sad.
they
They
can't
can't
even
win.
be genuine because they must be so in their head about how the internet expects them to act.
It's
If I
too
was them,
much.
I would literally log off and never show my face again. So proud of them.
You know who else should log
They're
off
heroes.
and never show their face again?
Tell me who.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Ooh, speaking of oligarchs.
Like
All right.
full
I'm
on.
definitely over the oligarch.
Mark
stuff, but
Zuckerberg
anyways.
full on was checking out Lauren Sanchez's, Jeff Bezos' wife's chest during the inauguration.
Do you think he thought she was hot or not?
Ooh.
That was good.
This is a real social
That
network
was
situation.
the first app he created.
Oh,
Oh.
hot or not?
That's
Yeah.
in the MySpace days.
It was like
Yeah.
I was on the brink of
Facebook.
MySpace.
I want
barely
Lauren
made it.
Sanchez
Before
to
your time,
do Rooney Mara's entire monologue at the beginning of the social network.
Do you think Jeff called him up and was like, "Bro,
Did you see the photo of him, Mark, with his wife, and he's like on his phone, and you can tell he's like, "No, babe, it's the angle. Like if you would zoom in, you could see my eyes are looking across her, not at her."
He was like, I was
You know,
running
it's
an algorithm, and I
you
was like
can
deep
tell
in
he's,
thought.
like, trying to.
Have we
Yeah.
not learned peripherals exist for a reason? Give it a glance, look away.
Well, I
he was
think-
staring.
I think the
He
whole
was
Well,
thing
that is a
staring.
still photo, so it's
but he
hard.
looked twice
There's
in
a
the
video.
video.
I haven't
in the
seen
video,
the video.
yeah, he
This-
definitely.
He
looked
he
twice.
he
He's
double
copping a
takes.
look.
Yeah, this really is an example of how when someone is hot looking at your boobs, it's great. And when that someone is Mark Zuckerberg, no.
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 Somebody called it
That's what I'll say.
yassified, and I just can't not think of it that way.
Yeah, no.
He just pulled him in.
He got real happy, and then he was like, just one more.
Yeah.
The force is strong.
Crazy that his face looks that melted. Anyway, ASAP Rocky refuses plea deal, faces maximum of 24 years as trial opens on charges he fired a gun at former friend.
Isn't his defense that it was like not a real gun or something?
That he
So
carries a prop gun
he
for like
carries a prop gun.
self-defense. Yeah, that's what his attorneys are saying.
And then, but it fired.
So those details we don't know. Basically, the judge is like, he's strong on like, we're not going to let fame protect this man. Like, we need a quick, speedy trial.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, he was given a plea deal of 6 months in prison. I imagine if he was well behaved, that would be even less. And he's like, fuck that. Let's go to court. And he's facing up to 24 years in prison. That's a big bet. That is a big fucking bet.
especially for having 2 kids, 2 small children at home, you know?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm in no position to say, hey, just do the time. I don't know what it's like to go to prison. I can't imagine it's fun. But again, it's a big bet.
To explain the starter pistol is what he says that he has, which is a gun that's usually carried as a prop for security purposes, but it makes a loud noise instead of firing bullets and is used for starting races, is what a starter pistol is what he's claiming he was holding.
Like a blank.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is there any evidence to the contrary?
There is video evidence, I'm pretty positive, and I know there's still frames. I haven't seen it, so I'm like, and also I don't know how a starter pistol works in the sense of, does it fire off a blank or is it just a loud noise?
Well, they clearly think that they have a strong enough case to go to trial and like put him on the stand in front of jurors.
I don't think anyone would think that 24 years in prison would be a fair punishment for this alleged crime regardless. So I do think it's ironic that the judge is pointing out that ASAP is not going to get any favoritism because of his celebrity. But it's well known that district attorneys and politicians will go after public figures to set an example to make a name for themselves.
Martha Stewart.
Yeah. You know, this happens all the time. So it's a bit hypocritical given the potential length of time he would have to face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like 6 months for accidentally firing a gun would be like the max.
Yeah.
You know, no one got hurt.
I
It's like-
worked on an ASAP Rocky music video as a PA one time, and I will say, I gave him a water bottle. That man, beautiful, incredible teeth.
So don't put it
And
in
he
He
was
could
behind
very
just smile
thankful.
at the jurors.
Was he nice?
And they would be like,
Yeah, I said, would you like a water? And he said, no, thank you, but thank you. And I was like,
Not a
"You're
double
lying."
thank
and I was
you.
like, oh my God, I understand you, Rihanna, in every single level.
It
So,
does
I'm
say
biased.
Rocky told a judge he respectfully declined. So he's a gentleman.
He's a
Mhm.
gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the guy you guys should be going after.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot worse things happening right now.
Team ASAP and Rihanna. Fuck this judge.
Yeah. Also, hey, ASAP Rocky released the music video that I worked on because it was really cool and it's just still not out.
Is a song
Oh,
out?
No. Anyway,
Mm.
Do you even know the name?
yes, but I don't want to like say it. I
Out
signed
of-
an
out of
NDA.
respect.
I signed an NDA.
Okay.
They didn't pay me, but I signed an NDA.
You know who we need to come after or go after?
Who?
Girl
Ooh.
Scout cookies.
Ugh, fuck them
Why
kids.
are we going after the kids?
So there's this story that just came out of this woman who's a manager of a team, and one of her like employees below her was selling Girl Scout cookies for his daughter. She basically asked the person, like, I have celiac disease. Are there any cookies that don't have like gluten in them? Like, I just want to make sure. He was like, no. She
Girl
didn't.
Scout cookies.
They're Girl Scout cookies. She didn't buy them, and basically he started going around behind her back and calling her stingy, comparing her to like the previous boss or manager that would buy cookies. And to me, I'm just like, okay,
This guy's a fucking bully.
yeah.
Yeah.
well,
but
we
we-
can't say fuck them kids because it wasn't the kids. It
No,
was the
the
dad of the
cookies.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was
Mary.
quoting Doja Cat. I was quoting Doja Cat and ASAP Rocky.
Protect the kids.
Yeah, protect the kids.
Yeah, no,
Protect
it
the
seems
kids,
like
fuck the
this guy.
dad.
it seems like this woman actually hates young female entrepreneurs.
I also do think there's still a group of people who think like gluten allergies are a crock of shit.
For
and
sure.
so I
Mhm.
feel like maybe he heard like, I'm allergic to gluten. And he was like, just stingy bitch.
But also, I don't want to buy your fucking cookies. Maybe he got off a 4-day water cleanse and decided to not eat sugar for a while
Yeah.
and realizing that if he were going to buy the cookies, he would fucking eat them. Just because you have a fucking kid. And listen, if River wants to join Girl Scouts and sell Girl Scout cookies, we'll do the parental thing and go around and ask people want to buy the cookies. But I'm not going to stomp my feet and storm off if someone says no and act like they're a monster because they don't want to like support my child. It'll be a great opportunity to teach my kid disappointment.
Oh my God, I'm such a sucker for Girl Scout cookies, even if
Yeah,
I
they're
wasn't
delicious.
She
eating
also
them.
could have
This
been
guy's a
like,
terrible parent.
she also could have been like,
a
I'll
terrible
buy the cookies, but I don't want the cookies.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to buy the cookies though.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to, but I'm just like, even
Those
then, buy
cookies
a
are
box.
It's not
It's
your.
the
It's not. It's no
kids.
one's fucking job to support your kid. I don't. Good
for
for
the
your
children.
fucking kid. Who give? There's a million people out there. It's not my job to support your fucking kid.
Hey,
She's not, the kids aren't doing this to like buy a Range Rover.
The kid's not even there. No, the parent. No, this is. I'm guaranteed. This is one of those parents that goes around. This parent does their kid's science project for sure.
Yeah.
Because they wanna put their kids like fucking Gold Star on their fridge, and they want to go to their friends' parties and brag about their kids because they sold the most fucking cookies.
Okay,
Like, give me a
the F
fucking
word.
break.
The F word is
Sorry.
flying out of your mouth this
Because I hate
morning.
parents like this.
Here's
oh, I just thought you were really passionate about Girl Scout cookies.
No, I'm passionate about parents who use their kids to like make other people feel bad because I don't want to buy your cookies.
Noted.
Like,
Do you buy them outside of the grocery store?
I've bought plenty of Girl Scout cookies because I love Girl Scout cookies and I'm happy to support, but it's not my job or responsibility to do that. Like, people are acting like
Yeah.
we're donating to like a tragedy. Like,
God.
If it was 2009, this would be made into a movie with Melissa McCarthy and Vince Vaughn, and it would make $10 million.
They already
actually
made that
hysterical.
movie.
Did they?
What's that
About
movie?
Girl
Melissa
Scout
McCarthy
cookies?
about Girl Scout cookies, yeah.
what's the movie?
See, I'm so
really-
smart.
The Boss or something, and it's like competing
Oh,
Girl
yeah.
Scout groups that like have to sell more
Oh,
cookies.
yes.
Did you not know this?
And they have like a full fight
I think
scene.
maybe subconsciously I did, but I
Subconsciously?
think I'm just maybe an incredible casting director and have a visionary.
That's what I'm saying.
Ideas.
And does she play a bossy
she
troop leader?
she turns the Girl Scout group that's like unpopular into like a multi-million-dollar company. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean they also did Troop Beverly
It got
Hills.
5 stars out of 10 on IMDb. So
Okay, well, going back to Nick and I's conversation.
Sorry for my
about
F words.
IMDb scores. I don't care.
Clearly, you can't listen to this with your kids in the car.
I did ask a Girl Scout once. I went up to her table and they're expensive, first of all. So I was like, if I'm going to pay $7 for a box now when it used to be $4, I'm going to ask you about the cookie. So I was like, is this the original
A
formula
test.
of the lemonade cookies?
Justin,
This
She was born 6
You
years
monster.
ago.
Why would you do
she
that?
gave me a speech of
you asked
nonsense.
the kid this?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you're a monster.
The kid's like,
You
I-
asked if this is the original.
I was being nice, and I
She was
also
like-
wanted to know if all the icing was still on the cookie.
To be clear,
What'd
my
she
opinion
say?
is strictly based on the fact that this is a conversation between two adults, and that kid wasn't present, and this is an adult who showed up to work and demanded all of his coworkers buy his kids cookies.
I think this
Yeah.
is the funniest beef. in
Well,
the
what
world.
if like the kid couldn't? What if no one was buying the kids cookies and the dad was like, you know what, honey, like I'll take them to work and there's a bunch of people there and they're gonna support you, honey. It's all right. Don't worry. Like we'll get you the whatever you get when you sell all your cookies.
Okay,
And
Tiny
then that's
Tim,
what
like-
happens. Like
then he
That's-
should have bought them
he
himself.
was just trying to help his kid out.
Sure, great. No, help your kid out. But when one person, whether they have celiac disease or they just don't want a cookie, like
He was
times
talking
are
shit
tight.
about her.
What?
He was talking shit about her.
Yeah, you don't get to go around and like start talking
You're
shit
right,
just
you're
because they don't want to buy your kid's cookie.
Also-
Ask another person.
Girl Scouts of America are not lacking in any funds. They have a partnership with Native Deodorant.
Go hang out outside of the vending machine and wait for the person whose cookie gets caught in the vending machine. They lose their fucking mind. They start shaking it. Go sell to
Another
that
F, yeah.
person. Like,
Girl Scout, like
lay off the person who doesn't want to eat your cookies.
this man should be
How often
teaching
does
his
that
daughter how to
happen?
scheme
I'm strictly off sugar
into
if you
getting
guys can't tell.
people to buy their
I
cookies.
can tell.
To answer your question, Natalie, she gave me a long speech on nonsense, but then I bought 2 boxes. I was like, good for you, girl.
Look, good for her.
You made her work for it,
Nonsense.
Justin.
So you were testing her.
As a former Boy Scout, I was like, I know the hustle. And I was like, let me just hear because inflation has made these cookies expensive.
Mhm.
And she got more money out of it. So
Your intentions were
crazy.
pure.
yes, they were.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, well, some unpure intentions. Andy Cohen wants Lisa Vanderpump to return for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 15.
It makes
we
sense,
feel?
but keep her off.
From a TV standpoint, I hate that I agree with it.
Yep.
I don't think she deserves any more TV time.
I think Kyle would literally implode. She would have an aneurysm on camera.
And for that reason alone, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah.
I feel like this whole episode could have been avoided if all maybe it's just every housewife fight, but it's all it takes is listen, I'm sorry. My intentions weren't to hurt you. My intentions weren't to be disrespectful or go behind your back, but I do understand how it can come that way Dorit, and it's certainly what But Kyle just can't do that. She just can't just acknowledge that like Dorit has every right to be upset, regardless of what Kyle meant or what actually was texted. Like she's supposed to be your friend. Like they're going through a divorce. You've admitted it would bother you. What am I missing?
I think also Kyle being like, telling, I don't know if it was Bose or more of the woman, but she was like, she's always been fine with me texting him. And like now all of a sudden she's not. And it's like, well, yeah, now all of a sudden they're separated.
Yep.
So like, of course she would not be okay with you continuing to talk to him.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Big
Like,
difference.
Yeah.
Kyle also like notoriously never apologizes, and she's so used to having like a girl gang behind her that's like, don't talk about Kyle, don't say this, da da da. And it's like you're kind of seeing the lone wolf in Erica, like still standing by Kyle, where it's like, if she read that message about your ex-husband, would you not want to know what you haven't shared or what you will always keep secret? Because
Yeah.
that's weird verbiage.
And Erica's only motive is because like obviously she went through what she went through, and she was pretty wrong, especially when it came to the earrings, and she never wanted to acknowledge that. So her whole motive is because she didn't want to acknowledge her wrongdoing, and that's the only reason why she seemingly is backing Kyle is to protect herself.
I respect
self-serving.
Erica. I respect her though.
What do you? What,
Well, because she's like, in saying it, she's like, I don't want someone to be like ganged up on like
Yeah.
a group of women when it's
Yeah.
like I was in that position as well.
I
I thought
definitely
about-
think it was wrong of Bose to be like, read the text, because it's not for Bose. Like she needs to be like, you need to go read the text to Dorit. Like Kyle should not have opened up the phone at Chuck E. Cheese. She should have immediately, if she was ever going to read this text, it should have been with a sit down with her and Dorit, and she should have read Dorit the text.
I mean,
For Bose to be like, why don't you read me the text? It's like, well, Bose, like, yeah, it's
Kyle showed up at her house post-surgery to try to manipulate Bose into believing her. Kyle's the one who inserted
that was
Bose.
definitely a producer thing. That was not Kyle being like, I want to go
It's-
right after
it's
her
all-
surgery.
It's all. I mean, either way. Okay, fine. Forget about post-surgery. Kyle went to Bose to try to get Bose on her side, and she's the one who brought Bose into the drama. And Bose isn't buying Kyle's bullshit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, is it a little messy for Bose to say, show me the text? But again, Kyle is adamantly trying to convince these women that she's not wrong and to take her side, and they're not buying it. So they're like, well, fine, prove it to us. If you want us to back you up and believe you, you have to show us, So I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
And I feel like Bo said something just like about just like working like in the workplace and like whatnot, whereas like this type of reaction, not only is it giving guilty, but it's also like just be able to stand still and have a conversation about it. The bigger the reaction, the more you seem guilty, because it's like you're trying to deflect from what's being said when it's as simple, I don't think what I said was wrong. But instead it's like, let's blow up, let's make a whole thing so we don't have to continue this conversation anymore. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just the deflection for me where I'm like, exactly what you said. This could have been solely handled with a singular conversation between two people. And instead, you're reading text messages at a
Wasn't my
pizza
intention.
party.
I'm really
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I got your back going forward. That was wrong of me. If it were me, I'd be upset. So I totally get it. End of conversation. That's literally all that has to be said.
She did blame production too, which was interesting.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
interesting.
She said it was because of all of this. And it's like, then why wouldn't you say it? Every single one of those housewives were like, nope, I have sent text messages being like, I can't say what you said on camera, or I won't do this in front of production. And it's like, for you to leave that little bit out in your message to PK, it's suspect.
Regardless
Yeah.
of our success, do you think we'll ever buy our kids a luxury car?
only if our daughter's name was Mercedes or Range Rover.
Range Rover would be a beautiful name for a baby girl.
I mean, like they had to get her a Porsche. Her name was Portia.
They had to?
Yeah.
Well,
Couldn't she
well.
just gotten a job?
I hate that it makes so much sense.
it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're, I mean, like
I mean, yeah, they're filthy
they're
rich.
loaded.
Yeah.
Like let them get the kid a Porsche.
But what if your daughter's name was Nissan Altima?
They're
Then what do you do?
I feel like you got to get the
Civic.
Altima.
Civic.
Honestly, have y'all seen that trend where it's like if these weren't names of like things, they would be such pretty names, and it's like
Kia Soul.
gonorrhea.
My mom works in schools, and you'd be shocked that a lot of kids are named after like STDs
Wow.
Really?
because their parents don't
Crabs.
know, and like they sound pretty outside of the context of what they are.
Some
chlamydia?
of 'em-
Chlamydia has a
chlamydia's
ring to
kind
it.
of pretty.
Yeah,
Chlamydia.
for sure.
Cammy.
Right?
Yeah. Gani. Riri.
Like I think
Rhea.
I do think like I remember a story of a kid named it was gonorrhea, but her name was like gonorrhea or something. Like it's pronounced always
yes,
more
of
like
course.
elegant.
Are we done with Beverly Hills?
I think so. Is
Yeah.
there something else we missed
Oh,
out?
Jennifer Tilly says memes instead of memes, and I just think we needed to
I
mention
feel like we're
that.
not shocked by that, right?
No, she's as Sutton said, she's Canadian.
Yeah. Is she?
I
Good for
don't
her.
know.
And she owns an American Icon TV
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Good for her. Up next, we have the legendary Mayim Bialik with us. You know her from Blossom and Big Bang Theory, and she is going to break down some of the Bachelor Bios. And then after that, we have a couple of the DSs from Special Forces. Billy and Rudy are with us. I'd love to get their take on some of the women on the upcoming season of The Bachelor, which premieres Monday? Next Monday? Next Monday. All right, well, we'll see who they casted up next.
Winter is right around the corner, which means cooling weather and more time on the go. Vionic has the best essential styles for everyday wear to get you ready for the season. Slippers, flats, boots, sneakers, and more. Some of my favorites are the Aria Wedge and the Uptown Loafer. Y'all know I'm a loafer girl through and through. And also, I think wedges, they're back and they're better than ever. And the Aria Wedge has a side zip for easy take on and take off. They're also water repellent to take on the season's weather elements.
For the men out there, their Uptown Clog, you can slide into comfort. I wear it around the house every time I'm in the house. The lightweight clog offers a flexible outsole, Vionic's exclusive supportive insole, and foot molding supple leather uppers. Unwind slippers slip into your classic slipper. Cozy felted upper for a comfortable fit. Vionic's exclusive contour footbed gives you the ultimate support indoors and outdoors. People, protect your feet. It's all about your feet. If your feet aren't comfortable, then really how can you be comfortable in general? Vionic's exclusive Vio motion technology is what sets them apart. They began by revolutionizing medical orthotics. Today, they continue to use that science to engineer shoes that leave you feeling energized and confident all day. They even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Wear them, love them, or return them for a full refund within 30 days. Use new code VIALL at checkout for 15% off your entire order at www.vionicshoes.com when you log into your account. One-time use only. Vionic Shoes, wearable well-being for your feet.
Your hair is so much more than what you see when you look in the mirror. From stress and nutrition to hormones to lifestyle, so many internal factors affect what you see on the outside. With Nutrafol's science-backed whole-body approach, nourish growth from within and achieve your best hair yet. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement trusted by over 1 million people, seeing thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. With Nutrafol, I've taken Nutrafol for years. I actually just recommended it to a friend of mine who is going through postpartum hair thinning, and I was like, you have to get on Nutrafol. It absolutely saved me. My hair was in the best shape it had ever possibly been before having a baby because I was taking Nutrafol. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol hair growth supplement for 6 months. Consistency is key. That is the one thing I'll say about Nutrafol is you gotta take it to see the results and start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code VIALL. Find out what over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code VIALL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code VIALL.
Mayim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you.
Thank you.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah. I'm old enough to know Blossom.
I did not think you were old enough, but
Yeah, I'm 44.
okay.
Yeah. So you were like a huge star in my household growing up.
Well, thank you.
I guess just to start there, I mean, you've had obviously such an illustrious career in Hollywood. What has that been like? I'm always kind of fascinated with people who their whole lives has been kind of in and out of this kind of crazy world.
Yeah, nothing that happened was something I predicted. You know, I don't have the typical like child actor trajectory of like starting in commercials when you're 3 because you're so cute and everyone wants to look at you. I was born at a time when people like me did not appear in commercials or even TV shows. Like, you know, when you watch TV now, you see people of like different shapes, sizes, colors on the television. And I try and explain to my kids, like, I never saw Black or Latino people in commercials like my whole life. It was just like blonde haired, blue eyed, small featured humans. Like that was the world of that I grew up in. So it never occurred to me, you know, that like a strange grandchild of, you know, immigrants from Eastern Europe, like should be on television. I enjoyed performing in school plays. My parents were not industry people. My dad was a drama teacher, but not my drama teacher. My mom was a nursery school director. My grandparents are immigrants, like sweatshop workers. Like I come from very humble beginnings. I grew up in a kind of crummy neighborhood in Hollywood. You know, I grew up like playing outside till it got dark, or if somebody was bleeding, that was the only time your parents kind of wanted to hear from you.
Yeah.
So I liked school plays and had this notion of like, people are on TV, like I should be an actor. I don't know what gave me that idea, really, because like I said, nobody looked like me on television. You know, my whole career, people have believed in me more than I believed in myself. There's not an example I can give you where that wasn't true. In this case, it was my mom, you know, often starts with your parent. And she was like, you look like Bette Midler and Barbara Streisand, and you can sing and you can dance and you can do this. So I got an agent when I was 11, and I was cast in Beaches playing a young Bette Midler when I was 12 and a half. And my mother was like, see, I was right.
Told you.
The next period of my life, which you experienced as a viewer, and I think maybe
I was not even a thought.
you were not. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that happened because of Beaches. So it was literally just like
Okay.
overnight. You know, I was given my own TV show. It's nuts. It's a crazy story. And it felt crazy at the time. I was a very strange kid. I'm a strange adult. You know, I was a kid who like didn't really, I mean, I had friends and stuff, but everybody thought I was weird. Girls were intimidated by me. Boys were intimidated by me. I was very cerebral and kind of a serious kid. And I got, you know, to have my own TV show when I was 14 to 19. That was Blossom.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. And then I left the industry for 12 years. I had 2 kids, and then I did Big Bang Theory.
Okay. Yeah. With Blossom, I was a big fan of Joey. You know, and that was like when I would like tie the flannel
Flannels.
around the waist. Yeah. I would steal my sister's flannel just so I could do that. Yeah. It was it brings
It
me
was
back.
the look. I mean, look, we were on from, you know, 1990 to 95. Like that was kind of it was the heart of the 90s. And, you know, CNC Music Factory was on our show,
Yeah.
and Salt and Peppa, and you know, a lot of sort of musicians, and like Will Smith was on when we literally called him Fresh Prince. Like that was his name. Like, nice to meet you, Mr. Fresh Prince. We premiered after the Cosby Show. Like that's how long ago
Oh,
it
geez,
was.
wow.
That's how long ago it was. So yeah, I was 14 to 19. Joey's a year younger than me. Jenna Von Oy is 2 years younger than me. So we kind of grew up as each other's. That was school. That was our social circle. We were very fortunate. We had a very clean set. You know, a lot of sets had like drugs and parties and drinking. Like, you know, it wasn't uncommon in those days for like the crew to be like drunk at lunch and like come back and work the rest of the day drunk. We did not see any of that. We had a very clean set. We enjoyed our time together. I mean, of course, there's not any set where there's not some sort of like, I'm sure you know, like there's human politics
Sure.
no matter what you do. But it was a very, very positive experience. And I'm not just like, it was amazing. Like, I love my life. It really was a very positive, constructive, creative environment. You know, I credit our producers and the grownups who were in charge of us. So yeah, and then leaving for 12 years, I got a PhD. I had 2 kids.
What'd you get your PhD in?
I got my PhD in neuroscience.
God.
I'm a science person. I fell in love with science late in life. And I was cast in Big Bang Theory. I'd never seen it. Thought it was a game show. And I was kind of like, as you may have like gleaned from my questionnaire I filled out before meeting you, I'm not really a pop culture person. I had never seen The Big Bang Theory. It was a very popular show.
Yeah.
I just was like nursing a baby and, you know, dealing with a toddler. So yeah, I was just out of getting my doctorate, and I
You're just
went on
like,
Big
well, I
Bang
used
Theory.
to act, and I am also a
I
PhD.
needed insurance.
Yeah.
I needed
Oh,
insurance. I was out of insurance. It's a true story. I taught all through my graduate years as a neuroscience student. I had my first kid in grad school, and I took my doctoral hood 7 months pregnant with my second. And then I was tutoring. I was teaching. I taught neuroscience in the homeschool community here. I was teaching with a kid strapped to my chest, budgeting, doing all the things that grown-up people do living in Los Angeles. And I was running out of health insurance. And I figured, you know, if I can get like my Screen Actors Guild insurance, at least I can have some insurance. My husband at the time was a graduate student also. Like we didn't, you know, people didn't make the kind of money
Well,
in the 90s that they do
yeah.
now. It wasn't like you're set for life and you never have to work again.
Well, what were your hopes or expectations when you got back in? Was it like, maybe I'll just do some commercials? Because, like, you know, you could just get a couple gigs and get insurance.
Yeah, I mean, again, like commercials is a little bit hard. Like I'm a little recognizable in some ways.
Sure.
But no, I really was like, if I can get like a guest spot on something, if I can just get, I mean, SAG insurance, like it's called
Like
SAG
get
after
murdered
now.
on Law and
It's
Order.
pretty good. Like, right.
Yeah.
Well, I was on Bones, did an
Okay.
episode of
Yeah, yeah.
Bones. And then I did an episode of, what was it? I feel bad that I can't remember now, but I was like girl number 2. Like I literally,
God.
I went and auditioned, and I don't even, my character didn't even have a name. I had like 2 lines at the beginning of some crime show. And yeah, like it gets you insurance. And, most casting directors were younger than me. They had no idea who Blossom was. I was just like an unusual looking lady who at a size 6'8" was very large for the industry. And so it was like one of my first auditions before I got Big Bang Theory, it was for Zaftig Girl number 2. Zaftig is the Yiddish word for like healthy.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, I'm Zaftig at a 6'8". Got it.
Great.
So the industry had changed a little bit. I got Big Bang Theory, and I was just a guest star. It was the end of season 3 was my episode, and then they brought me back in season 4. And the week they made me a regular, I said to my manager, I think they're done with me. I don't think there's any more plots. And she was like, I don't know that that's true. And literally they called that week. And that was what reminded me I should never listen to myself or my instinct. Because I was like, they're done.
Like, remember, I've never believed in myself. Why start now? So.
That's right. So yeah, then they made me a regular.
Not consistent.
It was, that's right. But fast forgetter. I'm a slow learner and a fast forgetter.
And then how many more seasons after that? I mean, you really became a focal point.
Yeah, I was on for 9 years.
And it was, at the time, it was the #1 show on television.
It was the #1 comedy in America. We never had the sort of like critical acclaim that a lot of shows that are often popular get, but that was just sort of the industry at the time. It was like, oh, that's like for the fans. But you know what? We had unbelievable fans who loved our show. Jim Parsons got some Emmys. I was nominated 4 times for Big Bang Theory.
Wow.
Lost every time. I'm like the Susan Lucci of sitcoms.
Still
what my
pretty
kids
cool.
Say.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool, but a lot of fancy dresses and a lot of stress for the red carpet to be like, and I lost. So those were my years. I went from having a nursing baby and a toddler to having big kids. Like that was 9 years. So when people are like, what was that time like? That's what I think of. I think of like I was a mom and like pumping in my dressing room. And then by the time I was done, like I had almost bar mitzvah age kids. They're now 16 and 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And now, were you a fan of Jeopardy, or did you also not watch that at all and just happen to host it? Or?
So I knew of Jeopardy,
Okay.
but I did not grow up in a Jeopardy watching family.
Okay.
My parents are like quirky bohemian artists who were like, let's watch a Fellini film. Like that was sort of movie night for us. But I, of course, knew of Jeopardy, had tremendous respect and reverence for it. But yeah, I got to host for 2 years. I was also working on a series that I was doing at the time. After Big Bang Theory, I did a series for 3 years called Call Me Kat for Fox. So yeah, I was balancing my time. That was an amazing opportunity, especially because I'm like I'm a nerd. Like I love learning all those things, and I loved getting to see the writer's room and be part of putting together that show, meaning watching all the clues come together. And it's very stressful to read all those words, but I enjoyed it
As a
immensely.
dyslexic person watching it, I was always like, I don't know how you do that.
How did you balance motherhood and being a full-time working?
I was married for part of my time on Big Bang Theory. And, he got his master's, like we were both in grad school together. He was an at-home parent, which at the time it was like, he's what? A man staying at home? Like, isn't that emasculating? Isn't it weird? It might have been, but also like that was what worked for us.
Yeah.
We got divorced during the time I was on Big Bang Theory, and he still was our at-home, parent, which I think was a lovely arrangement for us, even in our divorce. Our kids were homeschooled actually till high school, which is kind of interesting. So I did some of the teaching in the early years, but then when I was working, sitcom hours are great.
Yeah.
For having kids. Sitcom hours, we worked basically school hours. It was like 9 to 3, 9 to 4. We had one tape night, but that was actually really doable, so that when I was home and on duty. Yeah, movie star schedule is very, very different. And even drama, like they shoot 16-hour days, like that's not normal. So it's actually a really easy, schedule, but we didn't have nannies or anything. Like that's also an option that people do. So it was kind of just him and me, and that's how we did it, their whole lives.
Wow. Have either of them watched Big Bang Theory?
No, they were too young at the time. Like, some of the content was like a little, so they were still kind of young, and I guess I fall more on the socially conservative side of like, I don't need them hearing all these things at 7, and even though it's like fun and it's funny,
Right.
But no, they would come when they got older. They would come to some run-throughs and see me working that way, but we never really watched it. I mean, I think it's weird. Like, I mean, they feel like it's weird to
Yeah.
see their mom like that. And I think also when you're a kid, you really want to dislike your parents. It's kind of like it's part of the job description.
What
Rite of
age did that
passage.
start?
It's 4 and 7.
We have an almost
No,
1-year-old. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like we're like
it
planning
starts,
for.
Yeah, it starts kind of early. I mean, it depends on their temperament, but yeah, I think they kind of don't want to be like, my mom's so cool. And look, I'll be honest, I have Instagram. I see all these celebrity parents whose kids are like, my mom is the coolest TV mom ever. Like, not my kids at all. They're like, I don't want to think about it. You look weird. My younger son used to say no clown when I would like show up in makeup or hair from work. No clown. No clown. He'd want me to, like take my makeup off. And then it's like, that's
Who
mom.
are you?
No clown.
No clown.
No clown.
Like clown. Where'd you get that word from? And why use that with me?
Did not want mama looking like that. So yeah, my kids were kind of not, like I said, I've seen the Instagrams of all the celebrities. Their kids look so happy to be on the red carpet and my kids are like.
And going forward, do you see yourself using your acting skills or PhD skills more in the future? Or both, maybe?
I mean, I've kind of, my podcast sort of is presentational science. It's infotainment. It's, a lot of, honestly, the skills that I loved using on Jeopardy. Like, I'm trained as a science communicator. Like that's part of the training that you get, as a grad student in neuroscience. And for me, it's very natural to communicate that way. So I think like for me, the podcast's a perfect combination of that. But I think I mostly use my science brain there.
We need a new Bill Nye,
Yeah.
Like,
We do.
Oh,
he's overstayed his
different-
welcome.
I mean, look, there's definitely people like to get certain kinds of science from their dudes. I get it. And I think that's also part of what our podcast kind of tackles is that like there's the Peter Attias and there's the Hubermans and there's, all these like dudes and bros who will tell you things about your health and things like that. And I'm a lady doing that, and it's different. And I think especially for me as a woman, like I don't always take in my content science wise from dudes the same way that I do if it's like a woman. So like I kind of like having both options.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Nye is great and he's super, super brilliant.
I feel like
and,
it's
yeah.
less that he's a man and more that he just had that catchy song. I
was going to
It's
say,
still in my head. To
Miss
this
Frazzle
day.
raised me like from Magic School Bus.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
I was like, okay, tell me all about what's happening inside my
I mean,
body.
it takes all kinds.
Yeah.
That's also my thing. Is like we're not a one size fits all. But for me, acting is something that people keep wanting me to do. I've never been trained to do it. I don't feel like I'm changing the world every time I step on a stage. But for me, like the things that I do and like helping people, which I can do more as a scientist or helping people learn about themselves or learn about mental health or the environment or how it impacts us, like that feels more meaningful to me. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy performing. But I'm not like I say there's two kinds of actors. There's the kind that like live for the applause. Like they want that feedback. They want that like, oh, it feels good and all that stuff that goes with it. And then there's actors who are like, are you happy, Mr. Director? If you're happy, then we're good. Which is a much more kind of codependent approach to being a performer. Like I feel good doing my job when you're happy with me doing my job, as opposed to I feel good doing my job when you clap for me.
That makes sense.
You're an actual scientist, too. I only say that because, and I love her, but my sister was a biology major and like worked in a lab for 6 months. And to this day, she still refers to herself as a scientist anytime.
I refer to her as a scientist. What's wrong with you?
She also refers
She
to
worked
herself as
in a lab.
She also refers to herself as a sommelier because she sold liquor for a year.
Okay, that I'm not with her.
Yeah.
No, but I think when you're trained in science, you see the world differently. Like you do. You see the world differently and
You're a PhD.
You're rolling your eyes at her. That's rude.
She's my
Sommelier
sister.
is the more.
I mean, that's not necessary.
She's a
Like
liquor.
anytime you just have a discussion, I'm a scientist. I'm like,
She's
okay.
a liquor scientist.
It's like, okay. You took one more class than me.
Funny.
Tough crowd over here.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we thought it would be fun. I know you're not a pop culture fan, but since we wanted
I
to
don't
use,
hate pop culture.
No, yeah, but
I'm not very literate.
since you're a PhD, and you don't need to be, since you're
Okay.
a PhD, we'd love to use your PhD this time going into the Bachelor season, the Bachelor releases, the bios of the upcoming contestants. They always have these bizarre, random facts about
Okay.
them, and we just like to decide who we think might go further
Okay.
than the other. There's no wrong answers.
Is there like, you want me like a scale of 1 to 10? Do I have to look at them all, or you just want a little
we
feedback?
just give goofy feedback,
Yeah.
not meant to be taken seriously. Some fans
Okay.
might take it seriously,
Okay.
but who knows? This is our bachelor. His name's Grant. Very nice fellow, very handsome. We've had the pleasure of meeting him. Super down to earth. But this
Just
is
right
the
out of the
person.
salon, that hairdo.
This is the person that is it. How many women? Is it 25, 30?
Ooh, yeah, I think so.
25 to 30 women will be trying to get engaged to this man
Okay.
in less than 9 weeks.
Welcome to pop culture.
How familiar
That's the-
are you? You're not familiar with the
No.
format at all.
No.
I was on
Break it down.
once.
I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. You're very handsome.
That's
think
what I
that's
was
a
going-
requirement.
You
That's
can
a
go now.
requirement to say. Yeah,
I think it's a requirement.
you have
no,
to say
a
that.
requirement of the show. Like it's a desirable
Yes.
human.
Yeah, looks help. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know,
You look
definitely
healthy.
want
You look
to
healthy.
believe
There
it.
were plenty of people who didn't think I qualified. So
Why?
yeah. Well, you know, everyone's a critic.
Were you single?
Yeah, no,
Then
they're
you're a bachelor.
based off my
That's it.
looks. No, they didn't think I
Oh.
looked the part.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, they can hide behind their computers all they want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead. What's the
Uh,
premise?
Yeah, 25 to 30 women show up.
Okay.
And night one,
Okay.
you know, they come out. Sometimes people like myself, I blacked out and was really nervous. Some people hang glide down. You know, like the
people show up
producers
in
will
a
call you
suit.
up
They
and
like
be like,
Lady Gaga down.
Yeah,
They
like
wanna,
they
come
try
in a
to
sparkly
be
suit.
memorable.
yeah, the producer when he's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I was just gonna like introduce myself. They're like, well, you know, we could, you know, if we're not sure, but if you want to like, you know, parachute in or something, like you never know. Like all you
Okay.
can do is ask. So
Okay.
sometimes they will do a stunt.
That was their way of saying you're not memorable enough in your
yeah,
face.
they
They want
try-
like a
yeah.
big.
Exactly.
Actually, one producer
just
literally
kidding.
said that.
Okay, so the guy comes in. I'm serious. Like, and then the show. How many episodes is this? It's a season.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so people
Ish.
get eliminated. Is that what happens?
He
So-
Yeah.
sends people home.
So these women are all going to get out of multiple limos,
Okay.
and they're going to try to make their big first
Impression.
impression
Oh dear.
while introducing
That's who
themselves
should be
to Grant.
parachuting in.
and they get night one anywhere from 0 seconds to 2 minutes of time to make a connection. One
Okay.
person gets what's called the first impression rose. They're safe. And then at the end of the night,
Oh.
the bachelor gets hands out roses, and if you don't get a rose, you go home.
Okay,
And then by the end of
so
it, he proposes
to one person.
to one
one
person,
person.
and they
Okay.
are engaged.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they
And
have
then
a nice
the final
meeting with
4 weeks, there's what's called hometown weeks, where the final 4
No.
they you get to
know.
meet their families.
Yeah.
And then it's super weird. This is the worst because then the bachelor has to fake ask for the blessing of a
Oh.
bunch of people he has no intentions of getting
oh,
engaged
that's
to.
hard. Okay.
And
And
then the third
then-
week,
Great
it's called
television, though.
Fantasy Suite Week, and you have an
spend the
overnight
night with each other.
off camera.
You have
and
the sex?
Some,
They have the
sometimes the
sex.
sex, sometimes not the sex. It
They-
really
okay.
is.
What
you
if
know.
somebody gets pregnant?
What if
We've been
somebody's
hoping,
get
you know,
pregnant?
like
Okay.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Sorry, I'm supposed to say like, oh, just use birth control, but I have to tell my kids
There
the only
were-
way not to get pregnant.
on
It's
my
not that
season,
accurate.
there were a
Same.
couple covers, I think like Star Magazine or
Okay.
whatever, or In Touch, claiming that I might have
Oh,
gotten one of the people pregnant. Yeah, that was a rumor.
On your season?
No, the Bachelorette season. It was like the
gosh.
I was the runner-up. Runner-up got, you know, that was the In Touch week.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I'm ready.
the fuck.
Okay.
But here we go.
I'm ready.
All right.
This is Alex. She's 27.
Why
and
there an extra E
Why
at the
is
end of
there
her
an
name?
extra E? I feel like it's
See, this,
Alexi.
you already got this. The game
It's
down.
Alexi. It's
Yeah.
definitely not Alex.
Okay.
do you think
Is
it's
it her?
Alexi?
We don't know.
Alexi?
Oh,
Alexa?
Alexi.
Alexi?
it really could be either or.
This really feels
I feel
hard.
like this is like an Alex with a silent E, but okay, we're going to do Alexi.
She's
She
also
loves ketchup chips, so I feel like that is
She's a ketchup
an
kid.
immediate. Yeah,
Oh.
she's a ketchup kid.
okay.
fickle.
She's Canadian.
She's-
Pediatric speech therapist.
What
That
do you-
means
how
she's
do you
good
feel
with
about
kids.
that?
She's good with kids.
She's good with kids.
She also
That's-
could mean
that's a
she's
pl-
bossy.
What's wrong? Why doesn't she do karaoke? I got questions.
And it's like doesn't
Do we-
do karaoke ever.
Maybe
like,
it means
there's
she-
no
Maybe it means
scenario.
she's such a good singer that it's embarrassing to the other people.
Yeah.
She's no fun. I love her.
She-
Yeah. She's selfless.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
All right, me too.
Hey, Allie Joe.
Next, we've got Allie Joe. She's a boxing trainer from New
Oh.
Jersey.
That means he works at Rumble.
I can't pronounce where
She
she's
has
from.
dreams of shopping in Dubai.
What does that mean?
Big
She's
dreams.
got money.
Oh, or
Well,
wants to
or
be with
wants
someone
to.
who does.
Or whoever she ends, or Grant better have. Yeah.
Yeah. How can you be very organized but terrible at folding? I
She's
feel like
got
those two aren't.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen vibes.
Oh, yeah.
She does.
In a good way.
Yeah.
It's a positive thing.
I mean, I think there's only could be one way.
Because you're a child of the 90s.
Yes, she was definitely
like,
up there
who?
for me.
And you will never see her leave the house without lipstick on.
Same.
Well, honestly, yeah, relatable.
She and I are like the same person. Is
Yes.
basically
Ever?
You
what's
are
happening.
Allie Joe.
Ever.
Alicia. So she's an interior designer from Florida. And I think the fact that she drove a Barbie pink Vespa in
What?
college says enough for me.
Pretty cool.
She's a pumpkin spice season queen.
What does that?
Pumpkin spice.
I don't mean to be mean, but
lattes.
this screams basic all the way down
What?
the
She's
board.
excited
I'm
every
sorry.
time October comes
What?
around.
What is? Oh, it's like people who
Pumpkin
like
spice
everything
lattes.
pumpkin spice.
It's like, yeah,
Oh,
fall,
okay.
y'all.
She's a
What's a
fall girly.
typical Scorpio?
She's a top
Very
40s girl for sure.
mysterious.
I don't know
Duh.
enough about astrology, but she does.
She knows enough about herself.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
Yeah.
she knows that
Bailey.
Scorpios are mysterious.
You know, I'm saying hi to them as if they're. Hi, Bailey.
Hi, Bailey. Nice to meet you. You're a social media manager.
Love that.
From
Oh,
Atlanta.
well, is she there for the right reasons though? Because if she knows about social media, it probably means
It's
is she really
interesting.
there for love or is she there for the followers?
She knows what angle
Boost that
needs to
business.
happen whenever she's in a scene.
Does she
Well-
already have a blue check mark?
I relate to her because her comfort items include bread and a heating pad. And if I'm not falling asleep with a heating pad on me, I won't be asleep.
If I'm not falling asleep with a piece of bread on me, I'm not falling asleep.
So we love Bailey.
Wait, once took a.
Once took a flight solely for the purpose of leveling up her status with an airline. I respect
Wait,
that.
she dreams of seeing a polar bear in real life. Has
She's
she ever-
ambitious.
Has she ever been
Yeah.
to the zoo?
I don't think zoos
No, she wants like in its-
technically
like in the
have-
natural
wild.
state.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say in the wild. It says in real life.
Wow, bro. Wow.
I'm just
Judgy.
Yeah, that is judgy. Beverly.
That's my mom's
insurance-
name.
Really?
Yeah, that is my
Lovely.
mom, actually.
what's this
Wow.
guy doing on the Bachelor?
What is Bev doing? Insurance salesperson. Her fun facts include closet is color coordinated.
Same.
So is
True
mine.
story.
I feel like if your closet isn't color coordinated, you need to grow up.
If your closet doesn't look like your waiting room bookshelf, I don't want to see you.
Exactly. That was my doing.
Lovely.
So thank you very
My
much.
house is like that too. I color block the books.
You have to color block the books. Her first concert
Definitely
was the
not my
Jonas
doing.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Jonas Brothers.
Okay.
Aspires.
That's a pretty.
She got good taste.
Aspires
Yeah.
to visit all 7 continents. I like that.
Okay, she
I
wants
just
to
like
be
the name
looked-
Beverly. Like, do we call her Bev? My mom's nickname's Bevy. Oh, we've
Ooh,
moved on to
Bevy.
Carolina.
We're done. Yeah.
Carolina?
Carolina.
Carolina?
She's from
Puerto Rico.
Okay.
She's a PR producer.
Oh.
Don't know what that means,
does
but
that
she
mean?
describes her vibe as cool grandma.
Huh.
Her pet peeve is menus with no photos. I can stand by that. I do want to see a photo of what I am reading.
Why? It's
I
never
don't-
going to look like that when it comes out of the kitchen.
There's a lot of times I don't know.
Oh, no.
Really?
I don't want
I
the
need
pictures.
to see it. I
If
need
it has
to know
a
what
picture,
it is.
it's giving Cheesecake Factory, and I don't want to be there.
Totally.
She has dreams of being roasted by Nikki Glaser.
How would she do that? By becoming
Going on The Bachelor.
oh.
by
Well,
winning
Nikki- oh.
the
There's a
Bachelor.
I was gonna
She
say,
wants to
or
be
by
famous.
being in the
She wants to be
Golden
famous.
Globes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at me
But
with
You
it
got
is
that.
giving maybe not right reasons.
Maybe. Well,
because
maybe
I feel like
maybe-
Nikki Glaser wouldn't roast
a cool grandma
a cool grandma. She wouldn't.
from Puerto Rico.
She would not.
Nikki would gross anyway. We'll have Nikki on, and maybe we'll get Carolina on, and maybe we'll make her dream come true.
Chloe
Wait,
with an
back,
eye.
Can we back?
Chloe's
Doesn't-
got an extra
isn't-
vowel.
In the slightest possible way, doesn't Carolina kind of give a little Sarah Paulson?
Oh, yeah. I see
Chloe
that.
with every vowel she could possibly find. Model, 27. You know what? This is Serena Kerrigan's ex-assistant.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Friend of
Oh,
show.
okay.
friend of
got
show.
it.
She posted that this was her ex-assistant. I wonder why ex. Why did she fire her?
She went on The Bachelor.
Or why'd she quit? Yeah. She loves
Well,
a dirty
sometimes people
martini.
move
She
on. I don't
still
know. Like,
sleeps
good
with her
job.
baby blanket. Hashtag no shame. Did she write the hashtag?
There should be a little shame.
Dreams of seeing herself on a billboard in New York City. These are some.
She's here for the right reasons.
Yeah.
They are exposing
she's a
themselves.
model.
She's a model
That's
and she's
true.
in New York. It makes
That's true.
sense.
Okay, you're
I mean,
right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'd worry if she didn't dream of seeing herself
Yeah.
on a billboard in New York City.
Okay, you're right. Christina, 26, marketing director from Fargo.
Kirsten Dunst vibes.
Very
Very
Kristen
Kristen
Dunst.
Dunst.
Who also was in Fargo.
Look at that.
Season 2?
I don't know.
That
That's
is
a deep
true.
cut.
She hopes to start a clothing line inspired by her grandparents.
She needs to talk to cool grandma lady.
Well, she does need to talk to cool grandma lady, but I also want to know why
Her grandparents are like 50. They're like 50 years old. Like they're not
True.
that old. Like,
Yeah.
like- sorry.
You're not wrong.
All right, we have Dina. She's an attorney from Chicago.
Okay.
Has never met anyone who is cleaner and more organized than she is. Is this a competition?
That could mean nothing. Maybe she hasn't met enough people.
yeah. Wishes she had more time to read for fun.
She's an attorney. She's very busy prosecuting things.
That
She
screams teacher's
is.
pet. I'm the best at being organized.
Or
and
she's
she
a
just
Virgo.
wishes
No one's
she had
ever-
more time to read for fun. I guess she does probably read a lot of like boring.
The things that lawyers read.
Right. Yeah.
Blades,
They're,
suits.
they're not.
Briefs?
They're not reading
She needs some smut in her life.
a court and
Claims.
thorn of roses.
Claims.
Yeah. Ella, 25, luxury travel host from LA.
What does that mean?
I don't know. She loves to play badminton. She prefers glamping over camping. Growing up,
I'm with her
Ella's
there.
fave look was a shirt with Justin Bieber's face on it.
Okay.
These aren't
know-
easy fun facts for me to work with.
Yeah.
Ella.
What would be your fun facts?
Oh. Never seen The Bachelor.
Okay.
PhD in neuroscience.
Perfect. No one is
Color
more
coordinated
organized.
closet.
Perfect.
I am a very organized person. But yeah.
Okay, Janae, 28, account coordinator from Colorado.
It's very vague.
Loves-
Mostly I want to know what she's holding in her right hand that got cut off in the picture.
has a rose tattoo on her forearm. Coincidence? So do I. And it's also not a coincidence that I married a bachelor and have a rose tattoo. So
Oh, it's a foreshadowing.
it is a
I
foreshadowing.
think it is a coincidence.
Mine?
Well, you had it before you met me, which made it a coincidence. Wouldn't it?
Oh.
Or just manifestation.
Oh, the best kind of coincidence.
Mhm.
The universe's coincidence.
I did. I manifested that I would marry a
There you
bachelor.
go.
Her love language is FaceTime.
Okay.
That's weird. You feel weird about that? I can see it on his face. He's like, that's weird.
Why don't you love that her love language is FaceTime?
No,
It's
that
not a
wasn't
love
it.
language.
Oh, Juliana, 28, client service associate from Newton, Massachusetts.
What's a client service associate?
What? Yeah, I feel like some
Here's
of
what
these
I've
people
learned
make
about
up.
these bios. There's a lot of fake jobs.
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
Just throw
Yeah.
3 words that make sense. Like they're 2 words that make sense, and then just throw associate at the end or
Account manager,
producer,
professional.
and you're good.
Client service associate. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, she wants to own a dog-friendly bar one day, and I'm here for it, I guess. People are bringing their dogs anyways, right?
I don't know. I
Who's
think
turning down dogs these days?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a place in the United States that says no dogs
Is
at a bar?
is that nice
love a
for
dog.
dogs?
They're just like
They
leave
just
me
want
home.
to be wherever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there a bunch of dog beds and like toys laying around?
Is there loud music playing?
Yeah, maybe like
Yeah.
it's like a cat cafe, but a dog-friendly bar.
Right. Right. Kelsey, 26, interior designer from Brooklyn, New York. She wants a study empire building under Kris Jenner.
Oh, she wants to build an empire like Kris Jenner.
Oh,
Yeah.
loves to spend her summers in Martha's Vineyard. That's nice.
Kylie, 26, retail manager from Wilmington, North Carolina. She lived in Uganda for
Wow.
4 months, and her favorite movie is Pearl Harbor
Interesting.
and loves
History
line
buff.
I'm
dancing.
very interested in this Uganda period.
This is a good combination of facts. Line dancing, Pearl Harbor,
Uganda.
Uganda.
I honestly, personally, wish Pearl Harbor would have gotten more of the history of Pearl Harbor, less the love story. But that's just my take on the movie.
All right, Latia, venture capitalist from Salt Lake City, is an incredibly fast swimmer. Loves a good personality test.
By whose standards?
Personality test.
Loves being outside but hates hiking, like truly loathes it.
Because she's such a fast swimmer. Why hike when
Exactly.
you can
Why would you
I do
hike?
think hiking's a bit overrated,
So do
especially in
I.
LA. People talk about hiking as if it's like some sort of.
I mean, Salt Lake City's got a lot of mountains. Like, good hiking there.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's just.
Natalie, love her.
Oh.
From the jump. PhD student, you love her.
In what we don't know.
We don't know because it's not one
And
of the
how
facts.
committed is she really if she's going on
She's
The
from
Bachelor?
Louisville.
That's true. She's still a student. She's not a breakfast person. Her love language is gift givings, and she's a Seattle Seahawks fan.
Okay.
A lot going on there.
Okay, Natalie.
Nisi.
Nisi. Pediatrician.
Oh,
we love.
We like a doctor.
We immediately love her from South Carolina. Always wanted to be a spy.
I get that.
Would love an invite to the annual
That
Kardashians.
means she's going to spy on him. That's all I hear.
Ooh.
She's gonna spy on him.
She wants
Giving
she
stalker.
wants an invite to the Kardashians' Christmas party.
Okay.
Loves experimenting with different coffees. I cannot relate. I feel like you find one and you're good.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you?
I just like that
to
she's
experiment?
a pediatrician. It's a special kind of human that wants to deal with all those sick kids.
And also, I feel like
And at
pediatrician
32.
is hard. You gotta like
That's- yeah.
they
Sharp.
are. I mean, after our pediatrician had to look in our daughter's ears one too many times, she hates him.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Get a lot of small people hating you.
Parisa, Pediatric. There's a lot of pediatrics.
This is our third pediatric.
This is our third.
We had a speech therapist, a pediatrician, and now a pediatric behavior analyst.
They love the healthcare industry on The Bachelor. A lot of nurses typically, yeah. I mean, if they can get a doctor, they'll take one.
She has a rock collection.
I have a rock collection.
You do?
I do.
Is this like a...
It's from when I was a kid, but I do like rocks and pretty things.
I took geology freshman year of college, and I thought I was going to be rocks for jocks. Hardest class ever.
It's a lot of memorization.
I did not do
geology.
well.
Yeah, it's a hard
my
class.
professor was like, he just was all over the place, and I was like, what am I supposed to take
So are
notes
rocks.
on? You know,
They're all over the
That's
place.
true. Yeah, we took a field trip. Doesn't she have an intense gaze?
She does. She's a whiz with PowerPoint.
That tracks based off her gaze. She's
But-
just looking right at you.
That's also talent, to be able to be a whiz with PowerPoint. And I wonder if she was nervous with the TikTok shutdown for the 12 hours. Was she like super high strung? She couldn't relax.
That's true. She had
You
no
know?
way to relax.
She had no way.
In
to
what
relax
world
at
does
all.
TikTok make you relax?
Organization content, she says.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I do like their cooking videos.
Radhika is an attorney in New York. She brunches regularly.
Oh,
That's expensive in New York.
that means day drinking.
Yeah.
We all know what that means.
Bucket list item is to kiss someone in the rain. She is going to the right place.
Big
They
fan.
will be pouring water on her and Grant in no time.
Oh, she likes Harry Potter.
Yep.
I like that.
Big fan.
Rebecca, 31, ICU nurse from Dallas, has never met an animal she didn't like.
ICU nurse. That's
That's
intense.
intense. Always aims to be the best dressed person in the room.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna have to
We're
see.
gonna, yeah, she's
It's
gonna have
Giving
to prove
potential freak out night one
it. Yeah, of like, holy fuck. What are you wearing?
on my season of The Bachelor. So like, you know, all the contestants will like go to the producers and be like, do you like my dress? And so
Yes.
the producers, I refer to them as the friend who wants you to buy the boat,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
not really there for good advice,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're there to encourage you
Enthusiastically.
to, you know, whatever direction you want to go, that are to make you feel good about it. So like half the women came out in red dresses, and you just knew that they were like, this is the dress I want to wear. And any other real friend would have been like, you know, maybe different color. So,
They're
but
like,
they were all
"Yeah."
like, for sure, yes, red. So then they could all freak out about how they were
Oh.
wearing
All
red
in
dresses.
red dresses.
So,
That's how the sausage is made.
yeah, that's how it's made.
And we have an RN, Rose.
There
I
you
wonder
go.
if her name is a coincidence to her going on the show. She admits she's a terrible dancer and thinks Julie Andrews is the GOAT.
Interesting.
Facts.
That got to know more about that. The 27-year-old who likes Julie Andrews, there's a story there.
There is a story there.
That's like Sound of Music, Mary Poppins,
Yeah.
deep.
Great films.
Raised
great
right.
film. Serafina, I feel like she has to be a mermaid. Associate media director.
Okay.
What is that?
I don't know.
Another fake job.
She really wants to learn how to play tennis. Rocked a bob during her
What's
college
stopping her?
years.
I know.
There's a
That's-
tennis court like in every neighborhood.
Has seen every episode of Grey's Anatomy
Oh.
at least 3 times.
Interesting.
She must have a lot of free time because that is a lot of TV to
They're
have
still
to watch.
going.
They're still going. Correct. Also, she's in New York. There might not be a tennis court. There's not a tennis court in every neighborhood
There's
in New
tennis
York.
court- There's clubs.
All right.
Okay.
Savannah, wedding planner.
Oh,
We got-
that's fun.
we got married in Savannah.
They got to get married too.
She's from Charlottesville, Virginia. She loves a competitive game of charades.
She doesn't like a non-competitive game of charades.
Yeah, she wants everyone to
wants-
be as invested as
That's
she
right.
is, or
Yelling
it's not fun.
at each other, screaming.
Yeah, dreams of planning the Met Gala one
Oh,
day.
that's fun.
That is fun.
That's interesting.
Has a serious fear of owls. What did
Okay.
they ever do to you? Vicky,
Hi,
28,
Vicky.
nightclub server in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Takes pride in her calves of steel.
Okay.
Would love to see those. Not herself without lip liner. Her and our girl who doesn't leave the house without lipstick would get
Oh,
along.
yes.
And she wants to live on a vineyard in Italy.
Wow.
Me too.
Same.
All right. And our last woman of Grant's season, Zoe, 27, tech engineer and model.
Okay. Beauty and brains.
There we go. Nothing makes her happier than puppies and babies.
Oh, okay.
Can't and won't live without tacos.
I won't ask her to.
I won't ask her to either. And honestly, I can't and I won't either. Was the first female wrestler to join her high school wrestling team.
That's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Very cool.
Badass.
That's really cool.
wow.
That's no joke. Like real wrestling, not the fake stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cauliflower ear.
Not WWF.
Who do we feel like is our Grant's front runner? Did anyone stand out to you?
I don't know.
No, you don't
There's no
remember
wrong
anyone.
answer.
I mean,
There's no wrong answer.
I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for like the pediatrician.
I feel like you have to go with
the
Natalie
nurse.
because she's a PhD student. You have to
I
stick
like
with your
Niecy.
PhDer.
I like Niecy.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it right now.
Niecy. Okay.
Niecy. Okay. I feel like she's definitely.
But they all seemed lovely.
Kelsey, Juliana.
Juliana.
Where's Grant live?
Currently lives in Texas.
There was one girl from Dallas.
Okay.
So maybe that's.
I mean, you could move for love. I would.
It has been done before.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean,
Okay. Well,
a lot
we'll
of these
see.
jobs could happen in a lot of places.
Who's your villain?
Oh boy. I
Ally
don't
Jo.
know.
Ally Jo.
Oh, you think?
It's the
Mhm.
sparkles on her top.
I feel like Ally Jo, because she's a boxing trainer, is gonna have
Oh.
some beef with Zoe because Zoe was the wrestling
Wrestler.
team, and wrestling and boxing, I feel like kind
Yeah,
of
combating.
yeah.
And as a boxing trainer, very vocal, very like isn't
Assertive.
afraid
Yes.
to speak up. That can definitely rub people the wrong way in a house like that. So
Okay.
good guess.
They all live together?
They all
Yeah.
live together.
Oh, for the duration. I
Yep.
see.
Mhm.
In bunk beds.
Well, until hometowns,
Oh, then okay.
because then
Okay,
it's all
I got
about
it.
love.
How much do you want to bet they're gonna make Savannah, who has a serious fear of owls, do a photo shoot with owls?
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
See how
It's
she
a good bet.
Yeah, I
operates
think they
under
will
pressure.
too. Mhm.
very stressful.
All right. Well, we'll
that does
see.
it. Well, best of luck to all these ladies.
Sure.
I mean, I know their season's wrapped, but in our minds, we look forward to seeing how their love unfolds on Tuesday.
How the journey.
Well, it's on Monday
goes.
night. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. Mayim, this has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the
Really
time.
fun.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug, promote, put out there?
Yeah, our podcast, Mayim Bialik's Breakdown. You can watch it. We also have 4 cameras for our podcast. So you can watch it on my YouTube channel or like Spotify or wherever you get podcasts. And our Instagram's at Bialik Breakdown. I think that's kind of it. Yeah.
Incredible.
Lovely.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
Thank
It's been so much
you.
fun to
Really
have you
fun.
on.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's a lot of fun with Mayim. We love a good a Bachelor roundup, especially with someone who's never seen the show. Tons of fun. We love her. Up next, very excited about this. If you aren't watching Special Forces, you are definitely missing out. But 2 of the DSs, Rudy and Billy, 2 men who kicked my ass for a week of my life, are with us. They have some amazing stories. They are the most dynamic. And, if you're watching Special Forces and you see them yelling at people like Cam Newton and myself and Tyler, they are just big old teddy bears with some fascinating stories and some great life lessons. So they're up next. Caraway, we've talked about their amazing pots and pans for years now, and that's because every night Natalie and I are cooking on Caraway, and you should be too. What's crazy is how many pots and pans are out there that you can buy that are not safe for you and your family. They are full of PFAs, PTFEs, and other hard to pronounce, not safe chemicals, but not with Caraway. It's non-toxic cookware. It's easy to clean. They look great. They come in an assortment of colors that are easy to store. We have the ceramic and the stainless steel set. We love Caraway so much so that we made sure that also at the lake we had a Caraway set so that we could be sure they were cooking on Caraway even when we're at the lake. Caraway's cookware set is a favorite for a reason. It will save you $150 versus buying the items individually. Plus, if you visit carawayhome.com/VIALL10, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/VIALL10 or use code VIALL10 at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. Billy, Rudy,
Yes.
welcome to the show. It's great to finally have you on.
It's great to be here.
It's good to have now been to your arena.
Yeah,
That's right.
I feel like I'm a little bit of the driver's seat after being afraid of you guys for
Oh,
a
brother.
long time.
Oh, brother, thank you all. We've been fans. After the second season, I watched when you had Tom Sandoval and some of the other cats on.
Did you watch the Tom Sandoval
I
interview?
did.
That one,
Trippy.
that one made some waves.
Trippy. I liked his friend.
Oh, Schwartz.
Schwartz.
Yeah.
His friend has been looking after Tom for a while.
Yeah.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, no
Someone
kidding.
does.
That's what I got Billy for. He's
Yeah.
looking after me.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, dog.
It is so funny to have you guys here and just to see your
The
real
realest.
personalities. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like y'all are so scary and intimidating and kind of like funny in a way, just because it's so, the stuff that y'all come up with to say is so mean and so bizarre.
It's called humor.
It's funny.
It's called
funny.
British humor. It's British humor.
Yeah. What has this season of Special Forces been like for y'all?
It's been challenging. It's been brutal. I use that word a lot, but it has, and it gets more and more intense every time we do it. Not to take away from all the people like yourselves, your course, but every time we do it, it does get more intense. And the reason that is because we follow the ethos of the real Special Forces, and every time we do a job, a task, a course, we look at what could we have done to make it better. Generally, that means make it harder.
Wow.
And to get them, it's all about getting the most out of the people that come on it. That's what it's about. And we analyze every task we do, everything we do, and go, right, you know what? That didn't work too great this time. Let's add this. So it's more intense, I think. And I think it works on both sides. For us, we make it better if we can. The camera people, team, who now, get more experience, they realize what worked and didn't, what they caught, what they didn't. So it does. The whole thing, evolves literally to a better pace every time we do it. Not to say the experience for the people on it is as hard as it always will be. There's no compensation for anything, male, female, weights. Everybody does exactly the same as Nicola.
Everyone carries the same. They don't play favorites. It's really wild.
And the weather does not discriminate. The conditions don't discriminate. They all go through the same pain, misery, and suffering. But it's also cool that you all are part of a lineage, just like in our world, our courses and our generations of operators. It's a lineage. We're part of those that went before. And now the younger warfighters have learned from us. So it's the same thing.
It's very military. You're right. Thinking about it now, Nick, you'll look at our course was harder than theirs. It was tougher when we did it.
Yeah, that's what we always say.
And everybody does the same. When I first joined the army, their selection was harder than ours. Their war fighting was harder than ours. You're like, whatever. Now I'm doing it to the younger generation.
Yeah.
For my audience, can you guys talk a little bit about your background in terms of where your military experience and the the places you guys came from?
Do you want me to go first?
Go first, brother.
Okay, so I'm up at Billingham, British, born in the UK, born into a family of 5 in the West Midlands, a very poor family. I was the middle child, which means I'm different. Middle children are different. We are rogue, and I was rogue. So where I grew up, it was all gangs at the time, and I gravitated.
Peaky Blinders?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I gravitated towards that, thinking that was, there's guys with a name in the street, and everyone knew him, and I thought, I want to be like that guy. Of course, looking back, I was wrong, but that's where I was going. At the age of 9, I joined a gang, and I ended up stealing from an old man who kind of changed my life even at an early age. Rather than giving me a good hiding, he took me to the side and said, listen, there's something about you. I want you to come to my boxing gym at the age of 9. And I went. If you could imagine a 9-year-old today doing what I did, you got to think about this. I stole from an old man who, rather than giving me an hiding, tells me to go to a boxing club, which is in the pub, downtown, 3 miles from my house, in the snow, in February, pitch black. I'm 9 years old, walking down to meet an old man at the back of a pub that I stole a hat from. He took me in the gym, taught me all about boxing, and I won't go too deep into all this, but what he said to me was boxing is not a sport of brutality. Boxing is a poor man's game of chess. It's about reading what's in front of you, having respect for what's in front of you, having respect for yourself, the sport. It's about anticipating the next move and always being one step ahead. And his final words to me said, no matter how good you are or think you are, you will have a moment where it's going to be hard and you'll feel you can't do it. You've got to say to yourself, I can go always a little further, and you will. Hence the reason we do what on the show. 20 years later, I joined the SAS on the clock tower, which is a tower where people's names go on if you don't survive. All my unfallen comrades are on there. You have to beat the clock. That's the saying. On the day I joined the SAS, I went and read the collect, and the final words underneath was always a little further. And I went back to being 9 years old, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and that's my mantra.
Wow.
I've got off at a tangent. That's how I was growing up.
Awesome,
13, I got thrown out of school. 11, I was in juvenile court for being in a gang, fighting. I was shaming my family. I was putting a lot of pressure on my mum and dad. And I knew I was. My mum, as every mum does, he got in with the wrong crowd. I was the wrong crowd. I knew what I was doing, and kids do know. So there's lesson 1. Don't let people make excuses for you. Own it. 11 in court. 13, I have a great idea in school to be the hero. I'll glue the maths teacher to the chair.
No,
It didn't go
you
down very well,
didn't.
true, and I got thrown out of school. So my education stopped at 13 years old. I ended up working in a factory illegally at 15, earning money, and then at 15 again, my whole life changed. The fighting got out of control. I got stabbed and nearly died. And when I was recovering from that, I remember looking at my mum and dad and my family who'd been told he's probably going to die. And I could hear everything going on inside my head, but I couldn't react to it. And I just said to myself, I've got to change my life. I need new direction. I've got to go to the military. So when I recovered, a little bit later, it took a while. Then I got injured working in a factory, which I won't go into. I then joined the army at 17. And the army, day one of joining the army, I'd left my hometown where I thought was a big fish in a small pond. I had a reputation. I was now stood in front of real men. My instructor, I remember looking at him on day one. He had a big scar across his face. He'd been shot in the Falklands. He was still healing. But there was an aura of respect all around him. And I remember looking at him thinking, I want people to feel about me the way I feel about that man there. And I said to myself, this is going to be horrendous. I was the youngest. I was the skinniest. And I was the mouthiest.
That hasn't changed.
No, that hasn't changed.
Doc.
Okay, so I've kept that going. And I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going out that gate unless they throw me out or I die. I've got to do this. And I did. And we started with 70, and we finished with 7. And I was one of those 7. And then I had a great career with the parachute regiment, joined this regiment, came to Belize, my very first trip. I'd never been...
To America.
Yeah, I'd never been out my hometown. The only time I'd ever seen an aircraft was when it flew overhead. I've now been on an aircraft 9 times and never landed once. I've been thrown out the frigging door. And then all of a sudden I'm landed in an aircraft in a place called Belize, Central America. Now, when I got told I'm going to my battalion and they're in America, that's all I heard. I didn't hear Central America. I just heard America. I thought, woo, chicks, sand, beer. This is it. I've made it. I'm coming to California. Wrong. So I called my mum and I said, Mom, I'm going to America. She said, that's fantastic. Where about? And I went, Central America? She goes, oh, okay, calm down. Central America? Where exactly? I went, Belize? She went, you clown. You're going to the jungle. I went, what? She said, if you'd have gone to school and learned geography, you know where you're going.
No.
So I ended up in Belize. I have this, and now came to America for the first time at 18 years old. And I went to Fort Lauderdale. It was called, there was a thing called the Strip. Is it still the same? I don't know.
Yeah.
And, oh man, it was chaotic. I was 17 and I was drunk as a skunk, and obviously you're not supposed to drink till you're 21.
Yeah.
I had a great time. First trip to America. Followed these people who'd all been to war and conflict, and I learned a lot from these people. And then I climbed the ladder over a 9-year period. I'd been in conflict myself now. I'd led operations.
POW?
I was, yeah. That was later on though. And then
9
years. 9 years, I kind of reached my ceiling with that regiment, who were fantastic. I say reached my ceiling. I wanted more challenge. I wanted to go somewhere different. Didn't know a lot about special forces, which most people don't. I knew enough to say it's a challenge. I want to do it. So I did. Went on selection in 92, beginning of 92. 283 of us started, 7 of us finished. And I went to a squadron called B Squadron, which is famous for the Iranian embassy. I don't know if you don't know all about that. That was the first time special forces were ever heard of on TV and around the nation. So I went to that squadron and I had a wonderful career. I did everything from hostage release to indicting people for war crimes to whatever, and decorated by the Queen a couple of times and stuff like that. But it was great. It was just a wild, crazy career.
That's incredible.
What does
And then I left
POW
that.
mean?
Prisoner of war.
Yeah. I'd say prisoner. I got kidnapped, taken, basically, in Bosnia.
Well, like when on the show, the final phase is to simulate potentially getting kidnapped, and Billy's instructing us, and we come to find out he's like speaking from a real life personal experience while we're just kind of simulating it. He's like, no, I literally know what it's like to be in this situation.
And no two situations will ever be the same. You know, on the course, they teach you how to resist and survive.
Yeah.
That is one key element that is in every situation, I guess, but how people treat you is going to be never going to be the same.
Crazy.
No, if you're in the wrong hands at the wrong time, you ain't going to last.
How did you end up getting out of those situations?
I can't go too deep into it because of operational security, but we ended up taking hostages of people who've taken me hostage at an higher level. It was a meeting coming together where they'd taken me and someone else, and I think they're going to use us as human shields, put us in front of buildings that friendly force was going to bomb, so we didn't bomb it. I think that's what they were going to do. But we ended up having control of some of their people, and it was like, if you don't release them, we're not releasing them. It was one of those sketches. Lucky, very lucky. So yeah, that was my life and my military career.
And what about you, Rudy?
And listen to Billy, it always helps me reflect too. And you know what? We're a lot alike in this way. For the things that we were missing in our childhood and the things that we desired to get out of our environment, it shaped me. Poor family and a bastard son. So I never really had a family. And I didn't know for my first 7, maybe 8 years that I was somebody else's boy. And I come from a Mexican-American family, a Catholic family. And I'm 53. Down in the border, it's almost the culture's 100 years in the past. So I was always beaten up and picked on by my cousins. And my mom was always humiliated by the family. I didn't understand the dynamic. It's because she had me. And my biological father was a Marine, and I guess a great Marine. 2 tours in Vietnam. He was a horseman. He was a boxer. I guess he had an amazing personality. I get some of his personality. But after a second tour in Vietnam, he was not the same. And I believe he got on heroin out there, and he was really never heard from again. And he was put away, medication, and never had a job again. And that family is a Spanish family from Mexico. I found them later when I became successful. I thought, I want to find out where I'm from. And my cousin is the district attorney of Austin. I have a little sister who's a doctor. My uncle is a professor at UT of both Latin and European studies and leads tours in Italy. Very high vibration people, but they were not happy to see me. They met me once, maybe because they see it as a shame or whatever. And also they hate the Marine Corps and hate the military because they believe it took their son away. Needless to say, my military is my real family, even my other units. I mean, we had to get together yesterday. We had some Marines. We got freaking SAS, the Green Berets, the SEALs, all the brothers get together. It's the same family because it's the same culture. We care about each other, and we have been through a selection that we all know who's who in the zoo. You never have to trust that man to the left, the right can handle their sector. And if you go down, they can take over the mission. It's an incredible sense of security knowing you're with the best guys in the world. My Mexican family was poor, so it was gangs, drugs, prison, domestic abuse. So I rebelled and was a good boy. I rebelled and followed the rules, stayed in school, which was very hard because I went to many different schools because I was shuffled around different families, foster care, and then ultimately the Omaha Home for Boys. My brothers and I have 2 little brothers. We were very sick by then. We had worms. I had ringworm really bad, I guess, because my immune system was so down. And hepatitis. I had to be hospitalized. And all my teeth had rotten so bad that I might have lost an eye because the rot had got back there. However, the fighting spirit of the human being is incredible. I was still working out. It's not like I had coaches or trainers or anything, but I saw whatever freaking John Rambo was doing, whatever Rocky Balboa was doing. I was out at the park doing push-ups and pull-ups, and I just wanted to be a real man, you know? I excelled in sport. In the boys' home, the dean of boys was also an orphan, grew up there since 5, and then he got his education, and he's my wrestling coach, and he did clown work, like for the Shriners, and we would go to elderly homes. Man, I got such education there, Billy. We'd go to elderly homes and do clown work and spend time with the elderly. I learned by following the rules, training really hard, and exceeding standards, I got more privileges. I graduated high school. I got an art scholarship because I used to paint and draw. but I could not take my little brothers with me. I opted out of school to then adopt my brothers at 18 because they were 16 and 15. We went to work and washing dishes and working in restaurants and then construction. And then I started doing martial art. I have always loved to do physical training because it makes me happy. The ethos of that childhood and of martial art is what led me to the military. I never thought about actually pulling triggers and dropping bombs. There was a war in Kosovo, and there was ethnic cleansing, and there was a lot of suffering there. And America was going to bring troops. That's why I joined. I didn't know what I was going to do, so I joined the Marine Corps as an infantryman to just do my part. I excelled so fast and did so well. And by the way, it's really hard. You fail at everything. You're always punished. You have none of your time is your own. You don't even look your own. Your hair's got to be a certain way. Your uniform's got to be a certain way. You are a nobody, which actually builds character. I make it through selection. 300,000 Marines, there's only 300 billets for recon Marines. There was no money in the 90s. We were not part of SOCOM then. So the standards were so high because they only got 300 billets around the world. When I went through my selection, we have captains, infantry commanders. We've got staff sergeants who are already scout snipers and rangers and had trigger time in Somalia, drill instructors, seasoned guys. And I'm just, same as you know now, Mr. Smiling, happy to be there. And it was really hard. I didn't know proper soldiering yet. I was learning on the job, but I made it after a year long of selection. And then I started going to schools and started making a reputation in my little team. Nothing's given to you in the military. It's all earned. And I was in the Persian Gulf on a ship as a point man, junior guy on a 5-man team. My teammates were already Somalia veterans, Haiti veterans, scout snipers, rangers, and the towers were hit. And boom, that's when the world changed for this global war on terror. And the sirens were going off. Seemed like 20 minutes I was listening to it, but it was probably only 1 second. And we're called to our berthing. We're getting crypto for our radios. We're getting explosives. We're getting spins for our arrows because we're about to get in the helicopter, getting ourselves together. And it was just a roller coaster. And I'm doing the job. 70-kilometer movements, Billy. Oh, I'd never driven a Humvee before. We're cool guys. We always freaking jump from the sky or freaking dive. And, no, I've got to drive a Humvee in bad guy country and then dig it in before the sun comes up. So then we patrol rucked up with our big rucks and Bergens full of communication equipment, optics, laser designators, and then weapons, and then hide in the mountain. And when the bad guys are coming through, hit them with the lasers, call in the close air support, shoot them with our weapons. I did my duty. It was almost a blur because I was so busy. Billy, do you remember in the old days before GPS was everything? And when you had to coordinate?
Navigate.
Yeah, and you had to navigate and coordinate with other units in zone and then with AROs, the air officers. And it was MGRS map with overlays, acetates. Because of my artistry, brother, I was always in charge of doing the overlays because they look so sharp and the marginal information. All of our work is attention to detail. It's not genius work, it's attention to detail. Come back from that. Very excited to be alive. We in those old days, we never knew when we were coming home because they were expeditionary times. And shortly after being home, long before you civilians knew, we knew we were going to Iraq. So we were already preparing for Iraq. And we went to Iraq. We went to Kuwait about 3 or 4 months prior, training and then doing probing missions on the berm, where we were going to make the breach. And then it was on. I mean, that Iraq invasion? It was us. It was Brits. It was everybody. And we hit a city in Nasiriyah. I think my unit had 100 men altogether, and that's to include mechanics, fuel techs, everybody admin. We only had 60 fighters. And when we got to Nasiriyah, the infantry was being bogged down and getting hit and getting freaking tore up. Do you remember those early days, Billy? Those really early days, there was those beautiful winds and it was kind of cool and it was kind of raining those first few days. And it was like Vietnam because we're on the river, the palm trees, and it's kind of raining and the freaking cobras are freaking firing hellfires. And it's getting on. We're fighting too. And on the radio, They're going to chop away all the team leaders because they're paramedics. When you become a team leader, we got to go to paramedic school. And we've all done combat medic school, but paramedics, the higher level. And then our high-end medics go to a battlefield surgery school, which is a 1-year program that condenses 4 years of medical school. We're going to split up our teams. We're only 5 men. We're going to split up teams into 2 or 3 to go rescue the guys. I am actually really scared because my team leader is my hero, and I feel a little embarrassed because I know that they're going to die. So like teams of 2, no armor. In those days, we were just driving Humvees that looked like Jeeps going out on a holiday to Malibu. Like there's no roofs, there's no armor, there's no nothing, just big guns. And I was embarrassed that I was scared because he's going to die. And I'm scared, how am I going to handle this team? We've only just begun this invasion. And I'm scared because I'm a little bit, think maybe I'm a coward. And so I said, man, Sean, this is fucking bullshit. I'm going with you. And he says to me, and he's country as hell, Rudy, shut the fuck up, Rudy. Are you a professional? And I was like, fuck, that's all I needed to hear. Because the mission has to continue. We chop our way through. General Mattis says, you know what? Recon, lead the way. And that's what we did. Chopped our way all the way to Baghdad to Crit back. And somebody wrote a book. I was still in the Marine Corps. We all came back from that invasion. I'm an instructor now. And now I'm starting to have a little time with my family. A little town we'd never heard of called Fallujah is popping off. And Ramadi's popping off, the Sunni Triangle. And they called me back. And it was bloody, it was heavy. I mean, one day I'll tell you all about that. But roadside bombs, suicide bombers, suicide truck bombs, and we had to fight. And I really, really got a lot of experience. But it's also, that was then my second enlistment. We were standing up MARSOC. So Recon was now turning into Special Operations Command because we were so effective for so little money. Reminds me of early SAS, like for no money, when in World War II, no money, no whatever. They made it happen. I turned them down. I was mentally burned out, I think, from fighting and everything. All of it was burned out. And I got out, became a boxing and kickboxing coach, making a little money, doing 7-8 hours a day, 7 days a week, because we're used to working all the time. Didn't talk to my wife anymore. Still couldn't sleep. Started drinking. Never drank in my life. Started drinking at 36. Go to sleep. And then I got saved by entertainment. HBO calls and says, we're making a miniseries about your invasion, Generation Kill. We want you to teach and train the actors. Bring production on to Camp Pendleton. Have a dog and pony. Show them what you do. We're doing shoot houses, sniper work. We got freaking jumpers coming in. We're doing water survival. We're doing hand-to-hand. All these freaking producer people are like, this is freaking savage, you know? Rudy, we want you to come to Africa to teach and train. I did. They couldn't find anybody to play me because you have to be
one of a kind.
Yeah, you have to be fabulous. You have to be Latino. This is their words, not mine. Fabulous,
absolutely
Latino.
Jacked.
Yeah, you jacked, flawless skin and hair. All that's their words, not mine, right?
Yes, of course.
So some of the cats that were auditioning,
A great amount of humility.
yeah, well, I mean, they were their words, right? I didn't even know I was handsome. I mean, I was with the same woman since I was 19 years old. So I saw some of the guys that were auditioning. They weren't quite getting it. The production had me audition for myself, which wasn't easy.
You crushed.
Well, at least I looked like the guy. At least I looked like the guy. I got it.
Being himself.
Yeah. Oh, bro. I did it,
Yeah.
but it was hard. Like any new skill, that's what got me in entertainment, and mostly did survival work, did some film and TV. And this has been the best thing to happen to me is SAS and Billy's program that he built. They reached out to me to come on the show in the UK. And I was received, first of all, by the brothers. The UK was at first not down with me. Now the UK loves me. But now it's a two-way street. America's fallen in love with these guys We're in America now, and I mean, we're rolling strong, man. It's incredible. So, yeah, we both work in the veteran community. We both do nonprofits and charity. Mine is Force Blue. I rebuild coral reefs and do ocean conservation and put military men to work with our special combat dive and amphib skills. We've now grown it to a children's program. We train the children of the fallen to ocean conservation, and they work with men that are their fathers, who even knew their fathers, healing families. Now we're bringing our own kids out, because really now, as we're older, Billy will tell you, it's our family, our kids, and our loved ones that it's all about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
Billy, you kind of got into entertainment as a bodyguard for some of the bigger A-list celebrities.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I was here actually in LA. I left the military just prior to leaving the military, like we all do. You kind of lost. It's intimidating. I've been in the military for 27 years. That's all I knew. Now I've got to get out and get a proper job, and I didn't know what that meant.
Sure.
I was like, how do I do this? And a friend of mine said, look, hey, can you help me out? We did a bit of moonlighting prior to stepping out. I did a bit. A friend calls me up, and he was running a security company. He said, could you do a bit of bodyguarding for me? I went, sure. Ooh, and it was Tom Cruise. So he was the first guy I looked after. I met Tom, and I went, he's the deal. You know, this is what I can do. What do you want? And we worked. It worked good. I thought, this is okay. I could do this. Continued the rest of my military career for, still trying to find my feet. And then I got asked, would you consider working with a family for security? And I thought, okay, long story short, I left the military. That's a great story to tell one day, how I left. But I left the military and ended up as the bodyguard for Brad and Angelina. And spent 17 months or so with them, all over the globe, a little bit of time here in LA, New York, Europe, on different films and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. And then my life changed again. Actually, Sean Penn, who is a very good friend of mine, invited me, like he does, sends me a cryptic message to go to Barcelona. And I'm like, for what? And he wouldn't tell me. And long story short, he got me a part in a movie called The Gunman. I don't know if you've seen it. You've got to watch it.
I know about it. I'm going to watch
It's a good
it.
little movie.
Yeah,
It's a good little movie,
But
and Billy is
I mean,
awesome.
I don't act. I'm not an actor. I've got a script, and I'm like, what the forklift truck is this? I'm like, what am I supposed to be? I'm an actor. All of a sudden, you with Aldous Elba and Mark Rylance and all these people. And I'm like, okay. So we ended up in Barcelona. He gave me a script, and I looked and I went, I wouldn't say that. He goes, well, what would you say? Fuck that script. And I just did my own thing. And as you'll see, it's just me being me.
We're definitely going to watch
And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we are.
And you get to see me semi-naked from the waist down.
Yeah.
Worth watching.
Yeah.
Anyway, you'll have to watch it. So I got sort of introduced to going from this side of the camera to that side of the camera. Then I got asked, would I do this show? Would I do that? And I wasn't really interested. And then around about 2008 or 9, a producer hounded me. He said, look, we've got this show called Unbreakable. We'd really like you to present it. I went, what is it? He says, it's about breaking people. I went, that wouldn't be too difficult. And he went, no, you don't understand. I went, really? These are the fittest 8 people in the UK, 6 men, 2 women. I went, right. And what do you want me to do? He said, take them to the jungle and try and break them. I went, let me educate you to something. SAS guys break in the jungle. I'll break them in. No, you don't understand. So we were going back and forth, and I was a little bit uncomfortable. I said, okay, no problem. So I went out to the jungle in British Guiana. Never been to this place before, not done any recce, straight into the jungle. And I guess what? 40 minutes into it, I've broke all of them. And then I'm looking at me going, oh, shit, now what do we do? I went, yeah, what do we do? And this program had to, this was the first episode. It was meant to last 4 days, and I've smashed them all in 40 minutes. So I then revive them all, and then spend all day teaching them skills of living in the jungle, and 20 minutes of each day screaming and shouting so they could get some footage. So it kind of put me off, the fact that the producers weren't listening, and it made me uncomfortable and put me in a vulnerable position because I nearly killed these people. I thought, I don't like this. And then I got asked, will you do this? I didn't want to do it. All I wanted to do, if I was going to do anything in front of a camera again, was something with deprived kids.
Yeah.
Where I go spend time with deprived kids, then take them into my world. I've always wanted to do it, to try and give back. And nothing really came off. But then I got asked, a program's been put together called SAS Who Dares Wins. And I won't bore you to death with that, but I got asked, would I be part of the team, initial team to do that? And I looked at it and I thought, the title put me off. There was no real direction. They didn't know where it was going to go, so I said no. So the first episode went out in the UK. Foxy was actually on it. And the second series, it did well. I didn't watch it. I don't watch TV. The producers hounded me and said, look, we really want you to come on the show. I went, you don't even know me. Long story short, he came to my house in Hereford after putting the phone down in London, sat and told me what it was all about. And it's not about 4DS, it's about the people. It's about giving back. And okay, yeah, that sounds something I'd like. And that's where it started for me. So I did SAS UK series 2 and loved it. And then just went with it, kind of grew into what the program was. The programs, no one really knew still what it was about. Is it about just punishing people? Is it about self-gain? What is it? And then I started to grow into the mirror rooms, I believe, is what the show's all about. It really gets to the core of what's behind you, what we can do to help, and how we grow. But initially, I hated it. I hated the mirror rooms. I got so angry in there. I was about to punch people and all sorts of stuff. I didn't know where it was going. It turned into an argument. I was like, hang on a minute. But now I've grown with it, and the program's evolved, and you know, I've learned what the program's all about. And then eventually, the Americans came over across and watched it and said, right, we copy this. They came back to the US and copied the show and called it Selection, I think. And it failed. It just didn't work. And then later on, after Rudy got brought on towards the end, Rudy came across, replaced a guy that looked much like Rudy, actually. And then America got interest again. And then we then formed Special Forces, or Fox did. And that's where we are today. And I love it. And I love it because I get to make people like you cry.
Yeah.
I get to use all the experience and knowledge that we've had over the years to give somebody an experience. And I always say to make a better version of themselves. And you can tell us what you got from it.
It's an experience I'll never forget. I remember the mirror room. It was the two of you in it. And I was definitely at my breaking point.
Oh,
but it was
brother.
at a point where you guys were kind of, first you were playing bad cop, you were kind of playing a little nice cop. And at the end,
you got to be nice cop with this guy being, remember off jump, it was something like this, brother. And I was like, damn, you bored me to death, mate. There's nothing about you. You're boring me. Shut up. You're boring me to, and I'm like, God dang. So then of course I'm like, hey, young man.
It's okay.
It's okay, young man.
But then at the end, I was like, what the fuck, man? And Billy looked at me and he goes, you can finish this. If you want to, you can do it. And at that moment, I was like, I was ready to be done. And
where are you, bro?
As soon as he told me I could finish, I was like, I'm not quitting.
And it's so wild, Nick. We always run it down on the first day. We get no dossiers on anybody. We don't know any of the recruits. And that's part of the magic, because we don't need to know them. We don't need to know their names. We don't need to know their brand. We don't need to know their work. We don't need to know, because we're going to find out the real you.
Yeah.
And they leave it up to us with our human intelligence background and our experience background. And we sure enough get to the real thing with every single recruit. And it seems to really entertain audiences, but that's not why we do it. It's because they grow. And when these people grow, the audience grows too. This show is really just beginning to bloom, and it's for the people, the recruits. The mirror rooms really do it.
It's really become a family show.
It is
a lot
family
of parents
show.
with young kids will come up to me, and they're the ones who, like you don't know who's watching it, but it's a lot of families.
Out of that mirror room, you walk out of there standing tall. You've got the world off your shoulder. You've got a name now. You've got something to go for. But what took me a long time to realize was people watching that. Indirectly, there's thousands of young kids, particularly, who will look and go, who follow you. You're their role model, and go, wow, if Nick can show his vulnerability, I can. And I can tell you now, and he'll tell you, the night the show goes out and those sort of mirror room things are covered, our phone's gone mental. And it's a lot of young people who are in dark spaces.
That's right.
And it really helps. And I'll tell you what, it's a great feeling to know indirectly that show is so therapeutic to so many people. And you don't realize. And what it is, the way the world is today, let's all be honest, the world's upside down. It's a mess, and people are looking at role models and direction. And that show is, as you know, it's real. It's not bullshit. It's brutal.
It's so real.
And for a reason. Now, I'll go back to your interview. I already knew where I was going to. We watch every single one of you.
We're observing you always.
Very close. Every night, which you never show, and they don't really show on the TV. We'll sit in the mirror, in the prayers, as we call it, prayers. We'll go, right, Nick, how's it? Right, okay, these are his strengths. This is where we think we're at. You were at break. I'll tell you now, you were about to quit. You physically, mentally, emotionally felt you're done. We knew you weren't done. And if we didn't do something, put a rocket up your ass to give you that last little to prove that you could go further, you probably wouldn't have got to the end.
Oh no, yeah, I wouldn't have.
You were at that point. You
Yeah.
felt you got enough out of it, which maybe you had, but for us, we knew you had more. I used a tactic on you like my dad did on me. My dad, the day I joined the army, my dad says, "You'll be home in no time." And he said, and one thing that he said to me, which I don't tell a lot of people about, he said, "What happens if you get injured?" And I went, "Then I get injured." He goes, "What happens if you get killed?" And I went, "Then you bury me." He says, "Yeah, me and your mum, we bury you." And I went to bed that night thinking, I can't join the military. Jeez, I can't put that on my family. But I thought, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to prove to you I can fucking do it. That was the rocket I needed up my ass.
Yeah.
Every single day I wanted to quit, I thought of those words.
Yeah.
And it was at the end, and my dad told me why he did it. He says, because had I not done that to you, you'd had an option to come home and you'd have walked away. And I would have.
Yeah.
Slightly different, but I put that on you to want to kind of hate me, to give you that last little spark, but two, because we knew, we had you, you were a front runner by that stage.
Yes, you were. We
and
thought
you were almost going to fall by the way. Had we have been soft with you and gone, you'd have probably gone, I'm done.
You were missing your family. I think you were pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
We all have small voices that can turn into an excuse that we can then say is a
There's a
reason.
method in all our madness.
I saw it in everyone. I saw it in myself. You start being like, well, like you said, I did enough. It's not a big deal.
Me.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too hurt because I got to provide. The excuse becomes a reason, and then the reason is your way out.
Yeah.
And we can't do that, brother. We got to keep you guys in the
It would have been a
fight.
waste for you to walk away at that point.
Oh, I mean,
for you,
and
for us, because we've got you to this point now. You need that last bit,
That's
and it
right.
weren't going to be a cuddly. Hey, come on,
Yeah.
get your ass out there and get on with it.
Before we let you guys go, we were talking last night, and you have 5 kids, right?
6,
5
daughters,
5 daughters.
Yeah.
And you told a very personal story to me.
Yeah.
I'd love if you could share, that night at the bar, and you had your daughter pick you up.
Well, I mean, it came about because we're talking about children and family, and the most important thing in life is time, and you've got to make the most of it because we don't know how much we've got. That became very apparent to me, after this particular night. The story Nick's talking about. So one night, it was only about 5-6 years ago. I'm in town with a bunch of military guys and friends in a pub, having a few beers, and I like a lot of beer. And I'd had a few too many, so I couldn't drive. So I called my daughter up, and I said, "Kaylee, can you come and pick me up?" "Yeah, Dad, no problem." So Kaylee comes down, and I am a nightmare when we have drinks. I have a thing called one for the road, and it's a long fucking road. So we drink for hours after. So my daughter's turned up, waiting to take me home, and now 3 hours have gone past because I'm still drinking. And we're all having conversations.
Saw
Like,
a
you
little
do.
of that last night.
And we're talking about military stuff I've done and this, and people go, "How did you walk away from this?" And all these stories.
She's outside in the car.
She stood next to us in the bar waiting for me to leave.
Quiet, just listening.
So anyway, eventually we leave, and we're in the car. She's driving me home, and I'm kind of half drunk, and I look at her, and I can see tears running down her face, and I'm like, I said, "Kaylee, look, I'm sorry I kept you 3 hours longer." And she just looked at me and says, "No, Dad, I don't know you. I've just realized I don't know you. Me and my sisters and bro, we don't know you." I went, "What do you mean?" And she said, "For 3 hours, I've just heard stories about my dad that none of us know anything about." She says, I really feel, and I sobered up immediately, and I thought, wow, because I hadn't took the time, because of the life I had in the military. My life when I joined the SAS was constant war fighting for the whole time, all over the globe. I wasn't home a lot, and the time I was home, I didn't spend enough time with my kids and my family, which I wish if I could turn back time, I'd change it. That's exactly what I would do. I could never re-get that. But when she said those words to me, it sobered me up immediately, and I thought, wow, that led to me writing my memoirs down and actually writing a book. Because I've been asked many times, write a book. I don't want to write a book. But I wrote my book, which I've given you, my autobiography. I've cut out a lot of the military stuff. It's about who I was and where I was. And it's everything, warts and all. Being a bad kid, being an asshole, failing. But that was the reason I did it that very night. I went home, I sobered up in her car, thinking about what she'd said to me. And she was right. The kids knew nothing about my life.
Wow.
And again, it led me to, we always say, let's do it tomorrow. And this is my lesson to everybody. Never say, let's do it tomorrow. Do it. If you're going to do something, fucking do it. So I used to say to my father, my dad, when I joined the SAS, he made out he didn't know I was in the SAS. He made out he didn't know anything about what I was doing. Well, actually, he didn't, because we didn't tell him. But I always said to him, when I got decorated by the Queen and he turned up, and he's listening to why I'm getting this medal from the Queen, and my dad's looking at my mum going, he did what? And mum's going, I don't know. He's never told me. So he's listened to these stories, and I said, Dad, I'll tell you. I'll come and have a beer with you, and I'll tell you. I'll come down next week. Of course, next week comes by. I didn't go down. I didn't do it. So on and so forth. And I never got around to doing it. Long story short, I get a phone call, middle of the night. At the time, my mum had cancer, so I was expecting to die anyway. But my dad had died. So it was a complete shock to me. Whoa, my dad's died? And then 3 weeks later, my mum died. And I never had the chance to sit down and tell them those stories. And it was relived in my head when my daughter said that to me. So the importance of time and doing the right thing and spending and saying what you really want to say when you've got the opportunity to do it. Because that's what it was.
Well, thanks for sharing that, man. It's a great story. It's a great lesson, and we could talk to you guys for hours, but I know you got to get going. But
thank you.
It's an experience I'll never forget, and I hope people keep watching Special Forces, because it's so fun to watch. You learn a lot. It's great to watch with your family, and it's been like I said, I'll never forget it.
Thanks for having us, Nick.
Yeah.
It's our
Mate,
pleasure.
you're part of that brotherhood and family now. You know, like the one lesson you'll take away from this is the camaraderie of you guys. You know, you met for the first time in this billet, all watching each other and wondering, and then all of a sudden that bond becomes really strong. And it'll be like that forever now. That's exactly like the military.
Yeah, we keep in touch, and even we had, Brody.
You
know, and
it's almost like two different classes, but they both went through their selection.
Yeah, there's already a bond, right?
Yeah, that family.
Yeah,
that
for sure.
Lunatic, crazy family run by the inmates.
Yeah, that's right. Incredible.
Well, we appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
Likewise, mate.
Yeah,
and,
God bless.
Keep doing great things. What you do.
Likewise. Just plug the show. When's it on?
Okay, Special Forces World's Toughest Test tonight, Wednesdays on Fox. But all y'all working night jobs, get on Hulu the next day, and you can catch it streaming.
All right.
There you go.
All right. See you later. All right. Well, those guys are a trip.
Yeah, they have so many crazy stories. I feel like they.
Oh my God. Yes. I could just talk to them for hours.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that like the stuff that they do is real. You know, it's like just crazy stories.
Literal life and death. The way, that's like Rudy didn't even Rudy was he was a world champion kickboxer before he even entered the military. It's like after he accomplished that. Anyways, it's crazy, but it's so fun to have him. It definitely brings me back. All right, well, let's wrap up with a little Southern hospitality. This show's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm locked in.
I feel like it's Emmy and Will are carrying. That's the only reason I'm tuned in, right? It's like see the like craziness of their relationship.
Yeah. It's never good when you have two bros telling you how bad you are to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like never.
And the way that
it usually doesn't happen. Usually the guys will like.
Got your back, man. Won't say anything.
And they're like, yeah, I mean, you're really a bad boyfriend.
You said awful things. Terrible.
Also, the way that, I mean, and maybe that's just the way he acts typically, but I feel like I'm so in tune with like everything Nick does that like the second he breathes differently, I'm like, are you okay? Is something going on? Like, and the way that he was being so weird sitting on that couch and she wasn't like, are you good? Like, what's going on? Why are you being so weird? Nothing. She just was like,
massage.
Anyways, we give me foot massage.
The foot massage.
But like you could tell he never does it. She was like, really? And it's like, we're not even questioning that. Like, and tell me what you guys talked about. And then all of a sudden now you're willing to rub
He's
my
like,
feet.
I just don't even remember. It just was like, long day. It's a long day. It's like,
I'm going to go on a limb and say they don't end up together.
Well, Will and Emmy did not show up to the premiere party, but Emmy did. Both of them didn't show up.
Okay.
But Emmy did clap back online on Twitter saying like, guys, you're with like the family. It was nothing. It was nothing.
It was
something.
I'm just saying they're not built to last.
Yeah.
They're not
These are two people on different pages.
mm-hmm.
And if they do last, it's a bummer for Emmy.
For love.
For
and
love.
love. Yeah.
Bravo 1.
Can we
Love 0.
get into the Joe Bradley and TJ drama?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think TJ is messy, and I think what he did was really unfair to Joe Bradley. I mean, I think of how many people we talk to on the show, what does it mean when he looks at my Instagram story? It's just like, if you have a crush on someone, you read into every little thing. And I just think it's a little unfair for TJ to project his crush onto Joe and then kind of softly accuse him, not even softly,
No,
like
I
accuse
think
him of leaving.
he went and told a bunch of people that he thought he was gay.
There's that. And then saying he's led him on and things like that. And it's just like, Joe seems like he consumes alcohol a decent amount.
Mm-hmm. Joey Bottles.
Joey Bottles. In his words, he was blacked out. I've never blacked out, but I know I have friends who've blacked out and they black out. They don't remember anything. I mean, I have some friends in college where like they just became different people.
He said he blacked out, but then he also said he remembered like rolling over and cuddling. So that's where it's like there's a little bit of a discrepancy in both stories.
Well,
But I don't feel like
that whole like him remembering that was probably him only remembering that because TJ brought it up to him. Like I feel like maybe if TJ would have never said anything about it, then he would have never remembered that he rolled over and put his arm around him. But I think because TJ went to him and was like, "You cuddled me last night," then he's like, "Okay, well the explanation for that
Must have
is
been.
I was blacked out. I'm used to sleeping with a girl. I like to cuddle." Like
that doesn't mean anything. You're smirking.
No, I'm not smirking. I don't believe in accusing people of like what their sexuality is, and TJ is for sure messy. But I can also see that there might be a world where like that friendship breakup in quotes is more blown out of proportion than it would be if it was literally just a friend breakup.
Yeah.
Like there might have been
that's
some
from
emotional
TJ's
connection.
perspective, though.
Joe
Joe doesn't seem like he has a problem being his friend.
Joe won't even stand next to TJ in a room. Like
Yeah.
he will
Maybe
be
that's because
across...
TJ's gotten so fucking weird around
no,
him.
TJ's walked away every time. Joe's come up to him and Will as they're talking, and he tries and
even
TJ
like in the,
walks off.
But at Lake House, like even Joe's like avoiding
Lake's
him
Lake House.
in the pool.
Yeah.
So like I
Yeah,
just see that there might be another like world.
Joe
like
is
this.
really upset by this as well.
But I'm also like, TJ's made it very clear that he doesn't want to be around Joe and walking away from him and telling all of their mutual friends he wants nothing to do with him. So why, after 15 attempts, why would Joe continue? He's going to give him space and he's going to stay over there while you're hanging out in the pool with my girlfriend.
And can't Joe be upset because he lost a friend?
Yeah, he can be.
Yeah.
He can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or also that maybe your friend wasn't who you thought they were because you had trust with them, and then they're going around telling things about you that may not be true, that may or may not be true.
What was where's the continuity in TJ telling Joe that he was in love with him?
It's season 2. I haven't gotten there yet, but
that changes my perspective a little bit of like, he knew TJ was crushing on him. So for me, I would pull back at that point if I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Like that's where I know like this is not a friendship to him.
But the thing is, like, I don't know where, because I'm already 6 or 7 episodes in and it hasn't happened. So that's where I'm like, this sounds like this is something that happens towards the end of a season, which would make sense why we're opening up this season with them not being friends at all.
I just think TJ's real messy.
He's very messy.
He's really
about
messy.
Yeah.
He's really messy. But there is something to, and this is not like excusing TJ's actions whatsoever, but I do think it does open up a very interesting relationship dynamic between like a gay person and a straight person being that close in friendships, and like when feelings get involved, it gets complicated.
Well, sure. Anytime feelings get involved, period, it gets complicated. But
Yeah.
whether it's a gay person, a straight person, or a man and a woman who are both heterosexual, and one person thinks they're friends, oftentimes when a man and a woman are seemingly platonic friends, there's often one person who feels a little bit differently about that, but the other person has the most pure of intentions and just wants to be their friend. They just don't think of them romantically, like at all. And the person who has feelings, they start getting weird. They start thinking, I don't know if I can hang around them anymore because they have feelings. But like the person who just sees it as a friendship, like, what are they supposed to do? And again, they value the friendship. They could mourn the loss of a friendship, but the way TJ delivers it is if Joe was supposed to do something differently. And his big moment is a time in which Joe was blacked out, which is just like, okay, well, that's all you're going on. And again, it was just a cuddle. Is it that hard to believe that Joe rolled over, put his arm around whoever he was in bed with, and it was, there's nothing to read into?
I just also feel like we have to start normalizing going directly to a person and having that conversation, because the amount of drama and the amount of stuff where I'm like, hey, give it to me because I watch it. But I'm like, the amount of drama that's being created around a conversation that could have happened between two people come to a formal understanding. And it sounds like there was a conversation to where TJ admits his feelings and Joe says he doesn't reciprocate. I don't know what the timeline of certain events are, but I'm like, at that case, when somebody tells you who they are, what they think, what they feel, just believe them.
Take it.
Yeah. It's also like why Maddie went to Emmy's house to be like, I need to tell her about this, and then didn't even say anything. And it's like,
Yeah.
what are these people doing? How can you say you're friends with these people if like You can't, the first thing I would do if I heard something about my friend is like go directly to my friend and ask that question. And it's like the way that none of these people can do that.
Well, and also what's so weird is that somebody did this to Maddie. I think it was actually Joe did this to Maddie about her ex that was on the first 2 seasons, saying that, you know, he's back cheating, whatever it was, and she blows up. But it's like at the end of the day, yes, sometimes hearing things that you don't want to believe makes you angry and you react and you're like, and you're in denial. But a friend that wants to tell you something, there's no friend that you should have that's close to you that's trying to just ruin your relationship to ruin your relationship. Like, I'm sorry, I heard a piece of information. I think everyone else is talking about it. You should also know about this. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's shoot the messenger.
And then Nick, in your defense, I do see like TJ does, and I've only seen this season, look desperate that he's reading into both Michael's and then also Joe Bradley. And he's making these into, I don't like you, but then I do like you. And now you're in the wrong, but like, I'm not in the wrong and I'm the victim, but then also you did me wrong. So it's like, he's just messy at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like when his feelings are hurt, he's immediately the victim in his own little world.
But he's good TV.
He is good TV.
That's my favorite, the good character, but bad character. You know,
Lisa Barlow
plays a good character on TV, maybe not have the most good character as a human.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I also just like raise just like a little bit of concern where Emmy went up to Siobhan and was like pretty much just like, okay, like we're cool now. And it was just like, okay, I love you. Okay, bye. And it was just like, you just blew up at your work.
Also kind of fucked up of like to put them all in the same room.
That too.
Good TV.
Yeah. But then Michaels didn't want to be with Emmy.
What bodies of water can be names other than we got river,
ocean,
ocean,
cloud?
It's not a body of
Is that
water.
a body of
Well, it is technically a body of water.
a body of water. Yeah.
Evaporated.
Evaporated water.
Sea.
Storm.
I mean, technically the name like
River's the
Mar is ocean in Spanish. So any like Maria, Mary, like it all
Marsh.
comes from
Marsha.
Marsh.
Pond.
Reservoir.
Everglade.
Pond.
That would be a beautiful name for
Reservoir
a
is a good
baby
name.
girl.
Pond.
Pond.
No.
Stream.
Swamp.
Swamp.
Oh, swamp could be
Lagoon.
cute.
Lagoon is kind of fun.
Wait,
Lagoon.
Lagoon Viall.
Rain.
River and Lagoon.
River and Lagoon.
Goonie.
What rain?
Rain.
I
That's
feel like
a lot of people who have an R. They do
Rain and river.
roads, river, rain. They're all in that.
Bayou.
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 Ooh.
Beautiful.
Bayou Vial.
Puddle.
That's
Puddle.
What is this
Abyss.
combo?
Abyss.
Abyss.
Fjord.
Pacific.
If Bjork can be a name,
Atlantic.
Fjord.
Atlantic is cute.
Atlantic. Drought.
Atlantic. Well, that's Pacific.
Yeah.
That's cute though. Pacific Viall.
Mississippi.
Waterfall.
I hate how much I enjoyed that.
Waterfall.
Waterfall's cute.
Yeah.
That's too long. Is that the first name or is that a first and middle name?
Middle
Fish
name.
tank.
Waterfall. Fish tank.
Fish tank.
Estuary.
Aquarium.
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 Aquarium
We're
is
here
gonna
for
be
it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Stream could be cute.
Stream.
Yeah.
Brackish. That's what you
Gentle.
call a mix of salt and fresh water.
Mist.
Mist.
Oh.
Misty.
Fog.
Breeze.
Okay, I feel like this conversation is done.
I do like Lake. I think she's really cool.
She is cool.
Yeah.
Her family's
She's
clearly
rich as fuck.
Yeah.
She's rich as fuck. She's well traveled. Like,
Because she's rich as fuck.
because she's rich as fuck. She's like, yeah, I just like studied art. Also, her art, pretty good.
It's not bad.
And I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it.
If I'm going to spoil my kids, it's going to be giving them opportunities to go abroad.
Yeah, like
It
that's.
won't be. It will not be buying them cars after their name.
She's being rich
Have you ever
correctly.
seen the movie Taken?
Bodyguards.
Billy.
Billy. We got a guy. All right, well, that will do it for this episode. Thank you to our special guests, Mayim Bialik and Billy and Rudy. Make sure to check out our special Going Deeper episode with Brody Jenner that came out yesterday. Also, check out Reality Recap on Tuesday if you haven't. It's a wild, wild episode. Say hi to your friends. We love you. All right, bye. See you Monday. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.